also going to be meeting with us. If you want to meet him, or we can meet separately.
It's up to you.
Okay.
All right.
This is Ferris. He's part of the team.
Nice to meet you.
This is Charlie. We'll sit down in the office and kind of go over things and go from there. And
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So, I guess introduction-wise, my name is Kaitlyn Willison.
Yep.
I'm the coordinating attorney for Care Court here at Legal Assistance to the Elderly.
Okay.
Ferris is one of my social workers. I also have another social worker on staff. Her name is Kim Cruz.
Okay.
She's not here today, but you'll meet her at some point if you want.
You just said to the elderly?
That's the name of the organization that I work at, yes.
Oh, okay.
So the way that the Care Court process works is that people file a case on whether it's a family member.
Yeah, I'm aware of how it works. Like,
okay.
Literally the whole issue with it is like, there's a reason why there has been very limited cases as it is, because it's a very broken system as it is. Currently, in this particular situation, it's as if there's actually no thought as to what happens, literally, like, factually in a mental health situation when someone's been diagnosed. Currently, my mother has been able to file a case against me without having any familiarity or any evidence of any diagnosis. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, just on face value whatsoever. And so that's basically where we're at. Like, it doesn't even make sense that we're here.
Okay.
But we're here, and so we need to address the fact that it doesn't even make any sense. And this has been an ongoing problem. Like, this isn't just a problem in this case. This is literally the problem in San Francisco as mental health is concerned. It's literally as if you don't want anyone to get help. Because in this particular situation, there's nothing that can happen other than falsely accusing me and basically defaming me in a civil sense, and then creating ongoing legal needs that weren't even necessary and can only be used as harassment. Okay. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, there's no particular goal here of actually receiving any mental health care, because if there was, Aaron Peskin, literally the guy running for fucking office right now, I went to his office specifically about this situation. Like, look, this is fucking weird. You have a situation in which, for some reason in San Francisco, a lot of money, at this point in time, a lot of money has been spent on me, specifically on me, on whether or not I need mental health services. And literally every single time I've been like, I don't, but I actually do need help in addressing as to why the hell you're even spending money on this.
Sure.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I have, like, when you talk about the leadership here, Angelica Almeida, Sarah Sutton is someone who works for Adult Protective Services that I called specifically over the same situation. Like, hey, look, my mother's calling you. I have no idea. Even on face value, Adult Protective Services, just for my age alone, makes no sense for you to be showing up at my fucking house. Then you showed up at my house, and I said to you, listen, my mother needs mental health services. Even just on face value that she called you, there's obvious that. Can you at least contact her and let her know, this is not an appropriate thing to do? Refused to do that, and then noted me as being uncooperative. Okay. You know how ridiculous that is?
Yeah.
That means that literally in this situation, as it comes down to, if it wasn't for the fact that, and I don't know if other jurisdictions do it, and that's probably why there's been some limited cases. If it wasn't for the fact that I have a lawyer that you apparently is just like for eviction, that you're assigned to this case, this would be totally fucked. This would just be one more instance of literally the state of California, and specifically the city of San Francisco, just on their policy alone on mental health services, participating in harassing me. Sure. And giving me no opportunity to correct the record. Because that's, even from my understanding of the way this works, let's say I didn't reply, I guess the public health director would step in as my mother, even if my mother kind of got out of the case. So all in all, it still keeps going. Nelson showed up at my house again, wasn't clear as to what the hell he was doing there. So again, there would be another record of somehow or another I was uncooperative, when literally what's been happening is no one's been talking to me clearly about anything.
Sure.
And then it just keeps going on and on and on. And then I can't receive any services if for no other reason that for some reason in San Francisco, now for years, even though I've been trying to address the issues, there are multiple records that state that I've been uncooperative.
I follow where you're coming from, and I totally hear your concerns on that. So before we get into further detailed stuff, I just kind of want to go through my role, our office, and how we're here to help you if you want the help or not want the help.
Yeah, no, again, this is not a question as to whether or not I want the help. I understand your role. You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Right now, we have a situation in which the person who has filed this now multiple times has tried to reach out to the city about this exact same issue.
You're talking about your mother?
Exactly.
Okay.
But who else could it be? That's what I'm saying. Like, this is how... So, yes, her, for whatever reason, no one's reached out to her. No one's talking to her and saying, this isn't fucking appropriate at all. At all. I'm literally facing charges in Florida right now. Felony charges over this situation. My mother is either, again, purposely doing this to harass me, which, again, this is where I don't understand how the respect for mental health services are. My mother's either literally harassing me, or for years, I have been somehow so smart and everything else to avoid getting mental health services, even though I literally was arrested in San Francisco at the person who's running for mayor's office, looking for either mental health services or give me some fucking idea as to how is this that it can happen that people like Nelson, other people that work for other agencies can contact me. I say to them, look, I actually do need help, and then they just, you're being uncooperative. And then there's no investigation whatsoever as to what happened. Everything's recorded. There's nothing. It's literally just been a lack of you addressing what I'm saying to you right now, which is literally for years now, my mother has been contacting various agencies in San Francisco saying, hey, Charlie needs help one way or the other. When I get contacted, I say, hey, I don't need this help, and or even just on face value, your agency can't provide that help. It would have to be referred to someone else.
Right.
So if you want to do that, cool. But one way or the other, we need to address what's going on with my mother. And instead, by basically lack of contacting her in follow-up, they have justified her belief that she's acting correctly. You know how much this hurts me? Yeah. Like, my mother currently filed a court proceedings for me to get mental health services as if she can't speak to me, as if I haven't made the efforts to get services or address her concerns or been doing any of this for years. And the only way that this is possible is literally by the agents, like the employees, the policy, even literally the person running for mayor in San Francisco saying, we are not going to address any accusations of false accusations of needing mental health services. We're going to say, hey, if somebody is accusing you of needing mental health services, if you just say, I don't need them, we're just going to drop it all right there. We're not going to talk to the person who made the accusation. We're not going to talk to you again. Or no, actually, this is what we're going to do. We'll continue to talk to you. We won't ever talk to the person who made the accusation.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. There's huge flaws in how things work. Absolutely. And that's one of the things is if you want to use this process to like address those flaws.
I have to. Again, I have a felony charge currently that is literally, my mother is involved. She is the person who can make the difference between me being convicted or not. And what she is focusing on is a mental health proceedings in which there will be no particular outcome whatsoever either way. Even if I was actually totally mentally insane and I didn't show up here and I wasn't trying to address it, it doesn't achieve her own goals. It doesn't achieve her goals. It doesn't achieve the goals of San Francisco. It doesn't do absolutely anything. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. So yes, I have to address it no matter what, because I am literally facing charges based on a belief that my mother doesn't want anything to do with me, and yet she's doing this. It's kind of like it's gaslighting, abuse. It's either trying to address these exact same issues that, again, my mother is either mentally ill, or she's also very smart. She's employed. She's financially stable. There's a lot
of degrees, right?
She has one,
Yeah.
or no, she has a degree, multiple certificates,
I see.
or multiple certifications or whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, as far as I understand it too, those are signs of possibilities of mental health, untreated mental health issues, along with my own experience, including this. The main reason I can't do much about my mother is I don't speak to her. I'm in a no contact situation with her, other than the fact that she pays my rent. She's totally financially responsible for me for this exact same reason. There would be no reason for her to go to a court process when she literally controls everything of my life. If she wanted me to get mental health services tomorrow, all she would have to do is make an appointment and I would go. She's not doing that. That's the fucking problem. I've done it, and then she won't go, or she'll stop me from going, in the sense of I can't go and get mental health services just simply because my mother thinks I need them without being able to state why. Mm-hmm. We're talking now years, at least since 2017, specifically with the city of San Francisco employees being involved. Since 2017, I've been accused of needing mental health services without at once being told of any symptom I'm displaying, or what services I could use. Where could I go? What should I do? It's literally just, my mother has done this, as far as I know, as a joke, because this is what she said to me. Years ago, she said this to me. I thought it was a joke, because this is absolutely insane how long this has been going on. I've been arrested, all kinds of things. But my mother said that she would do this specifically because of how stupid people in San Francisco are. Because this is the whole reason I'm in this situation is there was a psychiatric evaluation of a diagnosis, a person that was suicidal, a person that is capable of putting their needs above others, actual issues. Actual, real, documented by a psychiatrist. Somebody else came up with this, not my accusation. That's not getting listened to at all, and hasn't been at all. And yet somehow, somebody from Florida who doesn't speak to me at all, we don't speak. I haven't spoken to her in years. This is the problem. And yet many people have taken her word as to whether or not my state of mind or what help I may need.
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple things that we can go over, because I have some records that make it where the city has requested that your case be dismissed because they're saying that your mom is wrong. Okay.
Yeah, but that's a problem. Again, this is the ongoing. We've made an accusation against you, or there's been an accusation made against you. Let's just dismiss it and act like there's nothing wrong, as if there wouldn't be any reason or there are any concerns for the mental health of the accuser. Sure. You know what I mean? And so it's just sorry, because I understand that you would like to move forward and I would too. Okay. It's just that it feels difficult to move on without it having to be established, other than the fact that you said that you understand that there are many or there are issues or things wrong with the way the system works, of how ridiculous it is. If it'd be different if my mother at least lived in San Francisco, because then it would be reasonable to believe that this person actually has merit in even filing the case. Sure. This is a situation in which the person doesn't even have merit in filing the case, and as far as I understand it, very purposely filing the case to give example that when there are actual documented and evidence needs of mental health services in San Francisco, they get completely ignored. Sure. But when there are only accusations without there being any merit, there is a belief that simply dismissing the accusation without addressing the fact that a false accusation was made is an effective way of protecting anyone. Sure. And it's just, you know what I mean? It's just not. So that's what's very frustrating, because it feels as if there's no thought process or thought of the care for my mother in this particular situation, because it's just like, okay, you're the person, I got accused, whatever, you could do whatever. The way San Francisco sees it, you can do whatever. We can offer you services we want to help you. We have plenty of nonprofits, everything else, but it's all up to you. But we're not going to do anything. We're not going to care about this person who is actually this wants services. You get what I'm saying? Like, my mother's the one who's requesting services. So for the court to just go, we already think she's wrong, let's just dismiss it, is literally just it's one more step of going, we're not going to address the mental health needs of your mother because she lives somewhere else, but we sure as fuck will save you, will spend the tax dollars, pay you, everybody else, just so we can basically harass you or bother you for our own benefit, because it's not for mine, nor is it for my mother's. Literally, the only person that's benefited here is the fucking judge who became a supervising judge after literally displaying the most blatant disregard for the conclusions of a psychiatric professional. I went through the entire fucking psychiatric evaluation for that judge. That judge is the one who fucking is the one who had decided who the court appointed psychiatrist was. It's his case. It's his fucking case. Beggar. Yes. And then after the evaluation was done completely, we didn't even have a status conference on it. We didn't even discuss it. It's not a situation in which, the court has different conclusions or judgments. Literally, we didn't even fucking talk about it. A fucking $30,000 some shit fucking psychiatric evaluation. A full hold on Rorschach, everything psychiatric evaluation. We didn't go through any of that at all. So this is a joke that my mother's doing, because it's like, we can talk about the results of my psychiatric evaluation. No one's ever fucking wanted to. And now, when it came in front of this judge, he was like, let's not talk about it fucking again.
So is this regarding your custody battle?
It's regarding a psychiatric evaluation, period.
Yeah, but what?
It's not. There's no custody battle. Number one, please do not fucking say a battle, because I'm not battling fucking anybody. Okay. And that's what's offensive.
I'm sorry.
That's what's very offensive. What I'm going by is just the facts. By a psychiatric evaluation pertinent to this case, right now I'm being accused of needing a mental health services. And the fact of the matter is, the only reason I'm being accused of needing mental health services is because no one has reviewed the psychiatric evaluation I went through.
Charlie,
that's what I'm talking about.
Just to clarify, you did the psychiatric evaluation. What was that related to?
What case?
It was a family court case, yes.
Okay, what year was that?
I believe it was, I'm not exactly sure. It's been a while. It was like 2014, 15.
So like 10 years ago-ish.
Around now,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. And Judge Beggar was the judge in that case as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I can give you the documents, because the thing of the problem is, because the statute of limitations is over. Because since I was pro per, they wanted me to fucking take notes of it, and there was no fucking way. So I just took pictures of, I didn't take pictures of all of it, but I took pictures of most of the pertinent pages of it. There's also emails back and forth with the custody evaluator.
Okay.
It's all well documented.
Do you know that case number off the top of your head? No. You could get it to me later, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we get into everything else, I just want to go through a couple things. Okay? So, this care court case is extremely protected. These documents, you have a right to them, and if you want them, I'll give them to you.
Yeah, no, I'm going to need them, sure.
Yeah. So, but just a couple things. Because it is so protected, you may not be able to file them or show them in any other court. Because
I know. Again, this is a trap. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. Okay. Again, I'm facing fucking felony charges. This is bullshit. So the thing is that I need to take care of it this. In other words, I need to make sure that it's understood what is happening, have a judge make a decision on it, and then be able to tell the judge in Florida, look, now there's fucking multiple judges in San Francisco that somehow or another fucking disagree with you. Because that's what the problem is. Okay. Right now, my mother has basically shuffled everything into everybody has to fucking argue with everybody else, because I'm on release in San Francisco based on the fucking fact that a judge didn't believe that I needed fucking any psychiatric information. So let me explain this very clearly to you. I got released in San Francisco on a case in Florida in which a San Francisco judge in an extradition trial. So you understand that the San Francisco judge, the only thing he's judging on is whether or not I should be released in San Francisco. It's a very rare situation. Nobody else in the defense, in the public defender's office ever seen a case like that, in which I went in front of a judge in San Francisco and said, hey, in Florida, they're accusing me of being crazy, and my mother wants to bail me out, which is kind of really weird because I'm being arrested because my mother is basically accusing me of being crazy. That's literally what happened. So in Florida, the reason I'm facing criminal charges is because they believe that my mother doesn't need any mental health services. So when I was calling for services in Florida, those were false needs. It was I forget the legal term of it, but in other words, what should have been happening to my mother here, in the sense of they're accusing me of not being able to determine whether or not my mother needs mental health services in Florida. That's why I'm being convicted in Florida. So when I got released here in San Francisco, I had to go in front of the judge here in San Francisco and say, hey, this is a very fucked up, weird situation. Florida's accusing me of of not being able to determine whether or not my mother needs mental health services. My mother now wants to bail me out after not even speaking to me for years. This is obviously indicative that she needs mental health services. If you agree, please let me out here because I have a health condition as well. It doesn't make sense for me to have to go to Florida. I don't trust my mother. Like, none of this makes any fucking sense. I don't want to be in her physical vicinity because I'm not sure if she may get violent. I don't know. And so the judge here in San Francisco made a determination that psychologically I was fit and not a danger to be released in San Francisco. Once. During that, after I was released, I then went to Aaron Penskin's office in addressing the fact that my mother was continuing, even after she agreed in the court of San Francisco that she would address her mental health concerns. Even after she did that, she was still continuing to call services in San Francisco to request mental health services for me. And they still wouldn't say to her, what's going on? Like, you just bailed Charlie out of jail over this. Like, why are you continuing to do this? So then Aaron's staff accused me of making a threat that I never made. Then they also, the plea bargain on that was me get psychiatric services. And then I said, hey, I actually recorded everything. I never made a threat. And then suddenly they dismissed the case again.
So that case got dismissed?
Exactly. And so once a judge, and then once a prosecutor. So once a judge in San Francisco, within the last 2 years, had to make a decision to release me in an unprecedented case, because it is unprecedented as far as I've been told. That's very rare for a person to be released on bail on extradition charges from another state. It's extremely rare. And so a judge had to make that. An actual judge made that decision in San Francisco, as well as the prosecutor subsequently, in a plea bargain, offered to have me obtain mental health services rather than proceed with prosecution. At which point in time I said, please, again, I'm just simply asking, because that's literally why I was there. Let's just make this make sense. If I need mental health services, please tell me what are my symptoms. Why?
Yeah.
And then they dropped the case. Seemingly, again, I say this with open ears, seemingly because there were no mental health services truly determined to be needed. Because it's not as if it was like, hey, we're dropping the case, but we think you should at least look into this symptom or talk to this person. It was just, hey, first we're going to say you're totally fucking crazy, and then now we're going to say, actually, that was never really a concern.
Okay, so before we get into the care court stuff, just a couple of confidentiality things. Like I said before, these documents are all extremely protected. You do have a right to them. Whether or not you have a right to submit them in any other process,
yes, I understand that.
Is a different question.
Yeah.
If you end up posting these online or providing them to anyone else, their confidentiality gets a little bit murky.
Yeah, but it's all me, and it's my mother too. So it's
okay.
and that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. It's a whole joke for sure.
Yeah. So I just need to advise you as your lawyer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the other thing is that in terms of like whether or not the court can be recorded or our conversations can be recorded or your conversations with Nelson or Angelic or whoever can be recorded, my office policy is that we don't record attorney-client communications, okay? Your emails will be recorded in your file, but I'm not going to do any audio recordings, and everything that you tell me is confidential, which is also why I'm not going to record anything because of the risk of, if someone were to get hold of those recordings. So we have an office policy that I don't record our conversations, and that plays also to you that you don't record my conversations.
Yeah, well, I take audio notes all the time. And so that's... Sure.
Okay, so are you recording this current conversation?
I take audio notes all the time.
So you're currently recording this conversation?
I take audio notes all the time.
Okay. So since you're recording this conversation...
I didn't say I'm recording this conversation.
Okay.
I said I take audio notes all the time.
How do you...
As any audio conversation, it just is what it is. As any recording.
Mm-hmm.
It only becomes relevant if it becomes relevant. So currently, what you're telling me is you don't record.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you I take audio notes all the time. Realistically, I would have to inform you for it to be consensual. And then if not, then it's whatever it becomes at whatever point in time it would be. If a recording existed, it would be discussed at that point in time. But right now we're talking fantasy. So,
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just laying out my office policy, okay?
Yep.
If it turns out that there have been communications recorded, whether it's me or Ferris or you or anyone else,
Yep.
Then I would have to have a direct conversation with that person, whether or not it's you or not. I mean, it could be anybody. But
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying, but you understand what I'm saying as well, because I am in a situation in which I'm getting gaslit, and so at the end of the day, there would be no. I guess what you're saying, I guess, is kind of redundant, and that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Okay.
In the sense of, it's understood that audio recordings of meetings and things like that normally and or ethically and sometimes legally are required to be consensual and or at the very least announced. That's totally understood.
Okay.
But it's also understood that there are times where that's completely irrelevant until the point it is, and when it becomes irrelevant, then it doesn't become a conversation between you or anybody else. It actually becomes a conversation within the courts, because otherwise it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. And so again, I'm saying this just for my own clarity on it. That's why it feels redundant to me in the sense of, like, you get what I'm saying?
I apologize for sounding redundant. I don't.
Okay, no, thank you. And I
Yeah.
do not at all. I did not mean at all
Okay.
to imply that an apology was appropriate, because I don't feel that.
Okay.
I just wanted to. We are talking about a situation in which, again, this is kind of my problem, or what can be very frustrating. We are talking in a situation in which my competency is in question, and I am not trying to avoid a frank or honest conversation about it simply because I am disputing one that I know not to be. In other words, I am not judging you.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems as if you're not as me
No,
either,
no,
so
no.
I'm respecting that. It's basically what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't seem like you're judging me. I'm not judging you on it. But I also want, because that has happened also many times, I want to kind of clarify that if I seem or something seems very illogical versus simply advocating for myself in a way that may be difficult to understand, I would hope that you would be willing and able to kind of at least explore explaining the difference to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm here as your lawyer to help you, right? All I want is for us to get along, right? That's all I want, and I hope that you would also have that same respect for me. If you feel like
totally.
I'm out of bounds, you let me know, and we can work it out.
Cool.
Same thing with Ferris, right?
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
So sorry.
That's great. I just want to make sure. This is what every meeting I start, we just kind of walk. Whenever I meet a new client, here's my policies, and then if you have questions about them, you have the right to ask those.
Yep.
So, do you have any questions right now about my office's policies?
No. Sorry, and I'm sorry. That's what I mean. Like, I apologize. It's even taking this long to get into that. So.
It's okay. It's okay. It's stressful, right? This, like you said, this kind of all came on you.
Yeah, I don't know where to begin, and
Yeah.
I apologize, because my intent was to simply say that and be quiet, and then I couldn't.
So let me kind of guide us for now.
Mhm.
Okay? Is
Sure.
that okay?
Yes.
So we'll start from the very beginning. This is the petition that your mother filed. So when Nelson came to your house, what he was attempting to do was serve you with this document and other documents. his recollection, and I'm very interested to hear your version of what happened versus Nelson's version. Because Nelson doesn't work for me, he doesn't work for Ferris, he works for the Department of Public Health.
I get it.
And me as your attorney, it's my job to always question what the other
I can explain it to you very simply.
Yeah, so let me read you what Nelson said happened, and then you can let me know if it's accurate or if there's things that are missing, okay?
It's I already know it's going to be inaccurate. That's the whole problem.
Okay. So let's see here.
Just to clarify, literally what the problem has been and what is very hindering to receiving mental health services is that all I've been doing is listening to what other people have to fucking say.
And no one's listening to you.
Exactly. I don't I have no. What the fuck does it matter what he has to say when it comes to my mental health? It doesn't really matter. It would matter if I went ahead and said, yes, I would like to have mental health services as to in reference to whether or not I remember correctly that day, if I'm experiencing those type of symptoms. But other than that, it doesn't matter because even still, the reason he was there originated from accusations of other symptoms. So it doesn't even matter what I did with him. So that's what I'm saying. It's sorry. And it's not that I don't want to listen to it. It's that I do want to, not just for myself, for others, hope clarify that, and I know that you said that you understood, but even just little things like this are very damaging to anyone who actually wants to receive help.
Sure.
But may have mental health issues that are preventing it.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole entire approach, if I had any actual mental health issues, made it absolutely worse. Rather than just being look, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because again, my mother understands the fact that my life has been threatened. I think it's just a couple months ago, a week ago, I got another phone call where somebody else is impersonating me. Wow. These are real things that are happening, and yet I got some dude showing up at my house who doesn't make it clear to me why he's there.
Absolutely. I totally hear you on that, Charlie. And that is, Ferris and I have talked about this a lot, a huge problem with the CARE Act and how it was implemented generally. That, if someone shows up at your door and knows your name and all those things, it kind of seems like they're a cop, right?
And what I said to him is, all I said to him was, do it some other way. Either mail, call. Mm-hmm. There's no again, this is my safety.
You're right.
My address, my phone number, everything's out there. Yeah. Specifically over this. Every morning, let me explain to you. Every day I do posts on social media specifically trying to address the situation. Every day. I don't know what bothers, what's hindering it, but it's not as if I don't make any effort every single day to address the fact that, hey, my mother seems to think I need help and I can't even figure out how or what she wants me to do. Everything I even try, she stops it somehow or sabotages me, and yet she keeps telling people I need help. She won't even, I have literally conversations with my mother where I'm saying to her, Ma, I'm tired of this. Sure. Could you please just explain to me what's going on? Sure. Please tell me what's going on. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And yet, immediately after that, many times, I'll have somebody show up at my house and say that I'm isolating myself. Mm-hmm. That I haven't spoken to my mother, that my mother's trying to speak to me, but I won't speak to her. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so if this is, you don't want to hear it, then just tell me.
No, I don't want to hear it. What I'm saying to you is, the reply to that is, sorry if I didn't make that clear. Okay. What occurred when I spoke to Nelson was, I said to him, either mail the information or call whatever information you have for Charlie. Mm-hmm. Yes, I didn't reveal the fact that I was Charlie. No, because again, this is not a complicated situation. I have many of videos, even with me speaking to SFPD out my window. Everybody knows where I live. It's easy to put together if you have my address and apartment number, which apartment number from which window I'm speaking to. My window speaks to the, goes to the street. There's no, it's what I'm saying. Whatever he said is purposely manipulating a situation in which someone hit my intercom. I looked out the window and said, "Who are you?" He didn't say who he is. And then he said something about care court. And I said, cool, mail it or whatever, or call or something. I don't, you know what I'm saying? it doesn't, and it turned out to be, again, I wasn't crazy about it, turned out to be perfectly logical. Care court is, the minute he said to me that, means it's bullshit, and I know it's my mother. And in the sense, what I mean is bullshit is that he's not really serving me. Because if he was really serving me, then it would have been a whole different it would have been a different situation. You get what I'm saying? He wouldn't have just left. It would have been even I've been a server. It would have been different just even from that moment. So I knew what the situation was my mother was doing some bullshit. Mm-hmm. I said to him, can you please either call or mail it to me for my own safety, because I don't know who that person is. I don't know if that's actually a real person. It's not a real, I know it's not a real server. And then when I looked it up, and that's why when I spoke to you on the phone, I already knew what Care Court was. Yeah. So I already looked it up the same fucking day. Mm-hmm. And I already knew what was up. I actually was just waiting to see if you were going to wait more than a week to contact me. Mm-hmm. Because I knew there was 14 days to reply. Mm-hmm. So that's basically it.
Okay. So what he said is pretty similar to what you said. He said that he went to your house on 5/22/24, and that you were clear and exhibited no signs of psychosis, although you declined to accept Care Court documentation. You were able to ask direct questions as to why there was a petition before the court. Nelson said he did not observe any evidence of psychosis.
I was not able to do that because he didn't clarify again what's going on.
Okay.
See,
can I keep going?
Sure.
Sorry. Okay. And then,
but no, actually, no. I don't need to listen to that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really don't care. The response is plain and simple. Again, that's what I mean. Like, are you just trying to waste my time, or like what? It doesn't matter because it doesn't matter towards my mental health, and it doesn't matter because what happened is perfectly logical. What happened was, again, I've been threatened. I understand that my mother has been doing things that have been harm to me. I don't know who's showing up at my house. Mm-hmm. The man said he showed up once when I was in church. My church is on the fucking corner. Okay. So when he first hit my intercom, I already saw somebody there. I see some fucking, it is what it is. I see some weird Hispanic guy. Not the most common thing in my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Weird to me. Hitting my fucking intercom? No. So, and I was in church anyway. So when the church service was over, I went back home. And then he hit my intercom again. I recognized him because I even have a video of him. So I took a video of him when I was at the church because he was literally right across the street. Because I wasn't sure who he was. And like I said, I just recently received another phone call that these are odd. I don't know if people are just fucking with me or what, but like somebody seems to be impersonating me. It's not very clear. Like, I don't know if it's just harassment, like random online harassment, or it's very serious. I don't have a way to really gauge it or really understand. So he showed up once, while he may not have been aware that I was aware that who he was, or that I had seen him previously. I was. And then when he showed up the second time, I looked out my window, saw it was him again. I said, "Who are you?" And he wouldn't reply. He just kept saying, "Are you Charlie? Are you Charlie?" I go, "Who are you? You're the one fucking calling me." He's hitting my intercom. He doesn't.
You have a recording of that?
No, not of my interaction with him, because at that point in time, again, I wasn't in fear of anything. I'm at home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm inside. It's like I already got a recording of what he looks like. If he's really a server, I already know. I've worked that job. He's gonna be different at that point in time. If I keep just saying to him, if I just don't say to him my name, and I know that he needs to confirm my name, he's gonna go away and come back. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. It was idiotic. It's just idiotic to try to. That's what I'm saying when I say it's anti-receiving any mental health services. He was literally being argumentative for no reason. In other words, just take my mental health out of it. Just my actual physical health.
Sure.
My actual physical health. I have congestive heart failure. I am, dying. Stress does affect my health. What would be the purpose to hide the fact that you're trying to help me? Mm-hmm. That's it.
No, that's a very, very, very valid question to ask.
This is not a question to ask. Yeah. We're trying to address what occurred with him.
Yeah.
That's what occurred with him. In other words, any sane and logical person, it would only be a crazy person that would go, "Hey, someone's trying to help me." But they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to tell me who they are. They don't want to tell me their name. They're asking me all these questions before I can find out anything about them.
Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. And I think that is absolutely valid. I don't know if you have a different opinion.
That's not very professional, and that's not very like centered around the person they're trying to help. So
that's really it.
Yeah.
I don't care about professional. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, sorry, because I don't want to waste you guys' time. It's just, when it comes down to, I did a line coming down here. Between the streets being all, you know, with the potholes, but just the fact that it's like there's so many drug addicted people that will just kind of dodge out in the street, that even in a scooter, not even in a car, even in a scooter, and I guess even sometimes more on a scooter, it's even more dangerous. And it's like those people, I mean, it does hurt me up to a certain point, because like it's like those people literally haven't gotten any help. And some of them want it. And yet I'm literally driving here in a situation in which I've even had to go to my fucking supervisor. The amount of times that I've dealt with cops and other mental health services professionals showing up at my house, would you know that's money? That's not a small amount of money. That's not a fucking phone call. That's not a letter. That's a fucking showing up at my house as if something's supposed to happen. And I'm like, great, you're here. If you're here, something's supposed to happen. And then it's like, well, actually, no. We're just going to go away. We're going to say you're not cooperating because you won't get mental health services without knowing why or how you need them or a symptom. You just should go to a fucking therapist and start therapy without any real reason for. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's that's what I'm saying. It's meant to drive you insane, because it's not as if most people, I myself, is not that I am denying the fact that mental health services could always be beneficial, usually. Just like having a friend, just like having someone to talk to. That's basically what it comes down to. So it's not that I'm not saying it can't be helpful, but it's very unfair. And that's what I mean. For a sane person, it's very unfair to tell someone who isn't trying to avoid treating any symptoms that may be affecting others, but but just simply needs to know what they are. You're making them crazy.
Sure, and I totally hear you on that. And
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you shared that with me, because like I said, we need to be a team, right? And the way that we become a team is that we're honest with each other.
Yeah, but I also don't want to just ramble though, because to be honest with you, like it's just known that can be much more difficult to focus, and because the situation is one in which, for respect for everyone involved, specific results have been desired by all parties, and so is that I want to make sure to focus on that, in the sense of the rambling about different things can kind of get it off the main simple issue is that currently my mother's a vexatious, again I don't know how to say it, vexatious litigant. That has been the main problem for quite a while, in the sense of when I was released from criminal charges here in San Francisco of the Florida criminal charges, subsequently a condition of me allowing my mother to bail me out was that she would attempt to correct this or avoid this even being able to be a possibility in San Francisco. So she wrote a letter immediately after my release to San Francisco General Hospital because we couldn't figure out where else to send it to. Basically stating, hey, I live in Florida. There's no reason you should have ever listened to me or ever really listened to me about Charlie's mental health because I'm in Florida. Like, it doesn't even, that's it. It's literally like one sentence. I can give you a copy of the letter. It's also something, we need it. It's not even a love. In the sense of, so that occurred. For myself, is the main issue is that, because that's literally the reason why I've been arrested. That's literally what I've been trying to get done for years, is having, and I believe, again, this is very odd, but I believe my mother may understand this. It's hard to say, in the sense of, for my own peace, no matter what happens in Florida, I do need to have her registered as a vexatious litigant.
Yep.
And at least specifically when it comes to the mental health, because it's just pure harassment. Like it's not fair to me.
And we can talk about that later on. The CARE Act itself talks about what the definition of a vexatious litigant is in those specific proceedings.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely already fits it. That's the whole, like, that's not even a question.
So we can go through that down the road. I guess right now, I know you didn't want me to read you this report, and I respect that decision. This is the petition that your mother filed. Do you want me to walk through this with you?
No, really what I need from you is to know what you need from me.
Sure. Okay. So we can get right down to it. So the updates that I have from you since Friday are that the judge has given us permission that you can address the court. He said that we can, I asked him, can we go either on, like I talked to you on Friday, care court's on Mondays. So the Mondays would be either June 10th or June 17th.
Yeah.
Okay. So he said, great, which date does he want? Okay. After that email, I'm going to pull out my phone so I can look at my emails. After that email, your mom emailed me, the judge, and she also called me and left me a voicemail. Okay. Do you want me to let you know what that email and voicemail said?
No. Again, I just need to know what is needed to prove how ridiculous this all is. Again, that's where, and that's why I was saying that I apologize for rambling very much, because what it comes down to is I need to know from you what are you trying to do, because it's just that. Like, what exactly is it that you would like to do?
Sure. So, like we talked about on the phone, the judge has already said this case can be dismissed, right? So there's kind of a few options there. We can just accept that on the papers and say, okay, case dismissed. I close your file. Your case is closed. You go on with your life. Okay?
And then how does the secondary part of exist? But again, staying on the goal for having my mother registered as a vexatious litigant.
That's something that you would do on your own. Yeah.
Okay, so then no.
I wouldn't generally assist you with that. I'm going to do my own research to see if my opinion is that she fits within the statute.
But what do you mean? Like, because at what point in time, where would there even be a question?
So I'm going to pull up the exact language of the statute. Okay.
Because I already read it too, so I'm trying to figure out where is there even a question.
We'll go over it line by line. Okay. Do you have another meeting that you need to get to? Okay. Since it's almost 2, so I wasn't sure what your schedule was. Okay. There's that part of it.
Charlie, while we wait for Kaitlyn to look for it, I just was wondering, you said you went to Aaron Peskin's office to ask for services, to request for...
No. After months of practicing hostile incompetence, Sarah Souza, who was the person I was dealing with, made false allegations that I made a threat against her rather than investigate what was occurring.
Right.
So.
And so you were also having issues finding resources for mental health?
No. Again, what has occurred is after months of practicing hostile incompetence, Sarah said, hey, come down to the office and maybe I'll understand what's going on.
Right.
And then at which point in time she made false allegations that I made a threat. I was arrested under those false allegations. And then once it was proven that I never made those allegations, the criminal allegations against me were dismissed. But also there has been no follow-up or kind of investigation as to the initial reasons that I was there.
Right. Okay. Well, that being said, I'm just wondering if you're interested in getting...
Again, what? So...
Just for your own...
No. Where... I just literally went through an entire speech where I said, the main issue that has been happening is, whether it be my mother or even currently you right now, that there have been many suggestions to me, not anyone else, only to me, that mental health services may be beneficial without there being any reason why. So you should start off being like, why?
I didn't say that it was beneficial. I was just wondering because you mentioned it earlier, so I just wanted to follow
The
up
only
on that.
mental health services that I've been needing is to address the fact that my mother has been making accusations and then simply dismissing them without there being any kind of clarification as to what is going on. Again, it's like, either way, what is the definition?
Sure. So under the CARE Act, Section 5975.1 says that if a person other than the respondent files a CARE Act proceeding that is without merit or is intended to harass or annoy the respondent, and this is the key part, and the person has previously filed a pleading in a CARE Act proceeding that was without merit or was intended to harass or annoy the respondent, the petition shall be grounds for the court to determine that a person is a vexatious litigant. So your mom would have to file 2 petitions.
Oh, with the CARE Act.
Yeah, under the CARE Act.
But what if she's done other legal cases?
So I would have to do research on that.
That's what's more than needed.
Okay. So I will go ahead and do that research for you and get back to you.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
more
an expert
important.
on the CARE Act, but not the other things. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but under the CARE Act, she'd have to do it twice. So now that they're saying the case could be dismissed, let's say you agree to the dismissal, they dismiss the case. If down the road, a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years down the road, she files another CARE proceeding.
Yeah, I know what she. I know what I want. I know what she was. She basically wants to get in front of the judge. We want another signature. So yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying, what do I want from you? So we've covered the vexatious part of it. Okay. The next part is the judge just emailed me now and said that he's set you to address the court on 6/17. So.
Why is he scared?
He's not scared. We just have other cases on calendar on the 10th.
Oh, that's bullshit. Literally, I mean, like in the sense of, it's literally reported in the paper that there's been minimal CARE Act proceedings in San Francisco compared to every other county, specifically because how ridiculous. Like every single thing about mental health in San Francisco is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, he does seem scared, or someone seems scared because again, let's say I really needed mental health services. How much longer are we going to keep putting it off? Over and over and over again, just over and over again. We're like, literally, I have now dealt with 4 years after a psychiatric evaluation of a litigant in a case that I was a part of, showed was suicidal and able to harm others and everything else. After that occurred, there has been absolutely no address as to, hey, does that person need mental health services? And yet, over and over and over again, what I've been told is, hey, you may benefit from mental health services, again, with complete disregard to whatever mental health services I have received or am even still receiving. Because that's the whole fucking point. This is all confidential. So none of it makes any sense whatsoever. So that is why a judge would be scared. Because it would only make sense if somehow or another it was already proven that I needed mental health services once and then denied it. But that's not what ever happened. What is currently happening is there's only ever been an accusation that I needed mental health services and denied it at all. There's never been any sense, even during this conversation right now. Has anybody asked me what therapist I'm seeing? Has anybody said, hey, is there anyone we can talk to that you've spoken to? Do you want to release any records? Nobody's doing any of that.
Well,
so there's
I've got the release right here. We just haven't gotten to that part.
No, but Ferris, we jumped the gun there.
Okay.
And so, personally, that's what I'm saying. Like, this just seems like a waste of time up to the point of going over random shit. The main thing is that what needs to be known is my mother's already filed other things here in San Francisco. whether or not that qualifies her at the second time now or any of the other issues, because at the same time, there's already been court proceedings involving my mother's accusations and currently still are. So if, again, that what needs to be addressed is whether or not San Francisco Care Court actually even cares about the fuck of any other criminal case that's happening, or do they only literally want to waste people's time? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the fuck happens with this fucking court if I have a court in Florida. So are we really just gonna fucking deny that too? Those are the things that do need to get discussed. So do you understand that at the very least has to be addressed during these proceedings? When they go forward in discussing as to whether or not, also just establishing how unfair and unrealistic it would be for my mother to have to file fucking 2 court cases in care court. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. She's been jumping around every fucking agency as it is because there's so many fucking ridiculous agencies in San Francisco. It's all a fucking little money fucking laundering thing where you could just literally jump from agency to agency. Nobody fucking talks to anybody, so everybody makes money. It's again, either I am, my mother is, I don't know. One way or the other, it doesn't take fucking much to see how stupid the entire every single person that I've ever dealt with that deals with mental health in San Francisco is. It's literally as if they're trying to make it a fucking scam. It's as if they've never fucking dealt with anybody who has real mental health services. They may have dealt with people who fucking like to get free shit. People who like to fucking be like, oh, I need help, and I'm so scared that these things happen. Sure, that in fucking San Francisco, really fucking easy. Even Ferris was like, here, I'll give you somewhere to go. There's somebody else that'll fucking make money off of listening to you be fucking completely stupid, but not get any fucking mental health services at all. It doesn't, sorry.
Okay. It's okay. I can tell that. I know it's been a long day, so we can wrap
It's
up.
it's just a long day.
Yeah.
It's literally the way the city works.
Okay.
And it's so that's a bigger issue.
So we can wrap this up
yes.
if that's what you'd like. Is that what you'd like?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions for you. The first one is, the judge, on Friday when we talked, I said, we'll offer the 10th or the 17th.
Yes, and now he's
The
the
judge
17th.
accepted the 17th.
Yes.
Do you want me to ask for the 10th?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't.
So we'll keep it on 6/17.
It just seemed odd because of what was reported in the news. It seemed as if there would be availability for the 10th. I did not mean to.
That's okay. So there's
assume
one other
otherwise.
piece to it that I think explains why they're pushing it out a little bit further, which is going to highlight another thing that doesn't make sense with the CARE Act.
Okay.
And that is that your mother is also requesting to address the court. But under the CARE Act, it's unclear if she has the right to do that at this point in time. And so I have a feeling.
Oh, because she's trying to say because Angelica wants to move in. I'd rather Angelica anyway, because it's easier for me. Because I do want to address the fact that the communications I had with Angelica. Because the fact of the matter is, both of them are the fucking same anyway. The thing is, Angelica works for the city, so
yeah,
that's what makes no sense. The thing is, sorry, to focus clearly, I do have communications with Angelica that I believe would be relevant to the case in the sense of her knowledge of why the filing of the case should have triggered SFPD involvement in protection from abuse. Because that's really the big deal too.
The filing of the CARE Court case or the filing of the case in Florida?
No, the filing of the CARE Court case.
Okay.
Because Angelica had been reached out to by my mother and myself. And so she was already aware that there had been an accusation that mental health services was needed, and that there was a dispute, and that at this point in time, it would either be harassment or something else. There would be services beyond CARE Court, because the version of the CARE Court already occurred even before its existence, multiple times while under her direction of the public health department. And she had been contacted multiple times to facilitate and address the same issues that she would be arguing in the court against or before.
Are you talking about assistive outpatient treatment, what they call AOT?
Yeah, she never even, that's what I'm saying. She
Okay.
did the same shit Nelson did. Like, she
Okay.
never clarified why my mother had contacted her. She never clarified what she did.
Okay.
And so, again, I'm in a situation in which I know that either my mother's doing this very purposely or she has severe mental health issues to the point that I have to have no contact and protect my own safety. And so for myself, what happened with Angelica also is similar to what happened with Nelson in the sense of my mother's, it's known, my mother did reach out to Angelica. I was CC'd on that email, very similarly to what she just did to you.
Okay.
And in the email, she said, Charlie needs help and he's not, he won't accept it or whatever. And again, this is a person, my mother can literally kick me out. My mother's my landlord, basically.
Okay.
Very truly. My mother can put me on the street anytime she wants, like literally by making a phone call.
Is your name on the lease or is her name on the lease?
My mother's the financial grantor. I'm only a resident. So
Okay.
my residency in the apartment is completely contingent on my mother's guarantee to
Okay.
pay. It doesn't matter if I pay. I can pay all I want. It doesn't actually matter. It matters if my mother or not
Okay.
pays. So if my mother...
Does she write the check directly to the landlord? Or does
Yes,
she
now. But obviously for years she didn't. The whole reason my mother pays my rent, and that needs to be clear to the court because
Okay.
at the very least it needs to be documented. Well, if another court doesn't want to accept it, then they don't want to accept it. And again, that's just another example of the fact that the court is knowingly participating in manipulating and just basically harassment, but also in preventing proper investigation to the safety of anyone.
Okay.
Literally anyone, but specifically a child and my mother. But either way,
Going back to your thought, the reason your mother pays your rent, you were saying?
yes, is because I wanted to avoid all of this. The arrest in Florida came after my health declined. The way I seem right now is very different than I've been up to about a year ago.
Okay.
My health declined very much so to the point that statistically, on average, you would die within 6 months.
Talking about your heart failure?
Yes.
Okay.
And so in that point in time, I was trying to contact my mother and being like, look, like, this is where I'm at. And because the apartment is hers and I'm not really sure, like I said, I don't know. It's an odd place to be, but I don't really know if she's playing around or what, because she has once explained to me that she wanted to have it as well documented and addressed the fact that the reason I don't see my daughter is because that judge never wanted to address the fact that the mother of my child's, from my experience, but also as verified or concluded by an independent person, the psychiatrist, an independent psychiatrist, that she may harm herself or our child or others if she felt threatened. And so as this conversation began, in the sense of many people see family court proceedings as a battle that has and still puts me in a position in which I don't know how to proceed without having some discussions with mental health professionals in that sense, which I haven't been able to find, about reducing the risk and possibility that having to assert my rights as a father does not get perceived as threatening by someone who psychologically has a likelihood of interpreting that
As a threat.
as a threat that triggers suicidal tendencies or violence towards others. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
like, there's a lot quicker way to put that, but that's basically it. Like, as far as I understand it, all of this is that, in the sense of whether it be my mother's goal, my goal, it's all the same in that the whole purpose of these proceedings up to a certain point, because of the fact that we are dealing with accusations of mental health, specifically mine, are whether or not it is illogical for me to feel that a judge or someone should consider the psychiatric evaluation results and provide guidance as to what would be reasonable and or recommended to proceed.
Okay. So in the documents that I have right now from the city, the things that they've considered, at least specifically in the care court proceeding, don't mention anything about a psychiatric evaluation that long ago.
No, she wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any sense for her to. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you would have. Otherwise, that's why it's really ridiculous that they're willing to dismiss it as it is. Because that means that she purposely did it that way. Because otherwise, right now, my mother has a record from 2017 that I'm still trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay, I want to clarify my statement. What I was referring to was that the city's position to dismiss the case doesn't reference, it looks like the oldest record that they reference, and I'll ask them for the discovery to get all of that information so I can go through it myself. The earliest date that they mention, it looks like 2016.
What did you mention in 2016?
They say that you received a diagnosis of unspecified schizophrenia or other psychotic...
From who?
West Side Community Crisis Clinic.
No.
Okay, I can ask for those records.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if that's what's happening, if my mother knows that, then yeah, this definitely needs to get addressed. Because if
Your
that's...
mother doesn't have a copy of this. This is
Oh.
yeah, so
no, then that's how fucked up this is. Because I went to West Side specifically, again, over that same thing. So the whole reason I went to West Side was after a hearing in which basically I couldn't figure out what was going on because no one wanted to talk about the psychiatric evaluation results. And then I said to the judge, like, I don't know how to proceed. I can't. What happened was that particular weekend, my daughter had signs that there were new signs of physical abuse. That Monday or Tuesday, I had a hearing because it was usually right before I would have a hearing that things like that would happen. So we had the hearing. The judge didn't, simply put, the judge did not at all address any of the concerns of the psychiatric evaluation results or concerns for needs of mental health services of anyone, not including myself, of anyone, no one.
Okay.
And so I went to West Side specifically asking whether or not that made any sense. That's it.
Yeah.
And they never spoke to me. I went there and said, because I wanted to know about the specific diagnosis that the other litigant has, which is dissociative identity disorder. I still don't remember the name, Sean Gallagher, because my mother brings him up and I bring him up because it's absolutely ridiculous. Because I went there, and again, I said, can you please help me understand dissociative identity disorder, because it was part of these legal proceedings and the judge did not even consider it real, didn't even consider it a need to discuss whether or not a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder would merit treatment, mental health treatment of any sort, whether court order, compelled, or voluntary. And so Sean was not able to clarify whether or not in the DSM it was still an accepted mental health disorder.
Because there was a lot of research about, I remember all of that.
I've gone through everybody in the city, in the city over this. And so Sean didn't give me any information on dissociative identity disorder. And that was it. He definitely didn't give me any fucking diagnosis whatsoever. And that's what I'm saying. So that's two different times that I've now received diagnoses from doctors that, number one, Sean, yes, I definitely was. I went to him on my own as a patient. But there's also a record from 2017 from SF General, when my mother showed up out of nowhere here, I tried to take her to General to get psychiatric services, and they didn't give her any. And then there's a record from then that the doctor saw me and supposedly spoke to my mother that day. Again, my mother addressed all this by the letter that she wrote just 2 years ago when I was like, I want to kind of, if I can get some clarification from you, if you understand kind of literally what happened was, after years of dealing with this, I basically got to the end of my rope, yelled at people in fucking Florida like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
They took that as, oh, we're now going to arrest you for fucking threatening cops and shit like that.
So what were the charges in Florida specifically?
Bomb threat. Yeah, because basically, like I said to you, like I was dying, and so I called the mayor's office and said, I need help. I'm dying. Yeah, I said, please take this seriously. People would die, and there's bombs all over the city. Okay. And then I put my phone number. It's that the only reason. This is the thing. How do I put it to you this way? The only reason they're prosecuting me in Florida is because my mother is telling them that I won't get mental health services on my own. So Florida thinks, right now what's currently happening is Florida thinks that San Francisco sucks so bad that my mother has been calling San Francisco now for years. And San Francisco won't do anything about it. And then I just one day decided to taunt Florida, because they think I'm bipolar. So they think apparently that one day I just got up and was like, hey, Florida, fuck you for no fucking reason. And because my mom won't tell the court, because it is so unique. So again, the only reason I got out in San Francisco was because my mother agreed to tell the court in Florida
that she was okay with it.
That I'm not bipolar, and I don't even know why she even said that. There's no reason. Again, I'm sorry. It's just this is so frustrating for me in the sense of understand that if I had bipolar, or if Sean diagnosed me, or anyone diagnosed me, I would seek treatment for that. There's no reason. It's very offensive to me because I've never displayed anything that says that I would not listen to a doctor other than these accusations that are coming from my mother, who has never listened to a doctor. These are actually, my mother hasn't even, this accusation in 2016, this is coming after I contacted therapists to meet with me and my mother to try to figure this out. Now, this is an extreme, I don't know if you understand that this is a very difficult process. I went through months of trying to find therapists.
Is this Dr. Crane, Mark Crane?
No, that's more recent. That's how long this has been going on.
Okay.
Here in San Francisco, I went because for a long time my mother would not see therapists in Florida for some reason. She only wanted to see therapists in San Francisco. So I finally went through and I wrote a whole email about what's going on, and then I sent it to various therapists. Various therapists would reply. Some replied that they couldn't see us. One replied that my mother needed medication at that point in time. Then my mother filed a restraining order against me saying that I was harassing her, saying that she needed mental health services. That restraining order, I just basically didn't fight it. It's basically like I think my mother's kind of, and this is what I'm saying, this is crazy shit in the sense of I don't feel comfortable having to assume my mother's intentions when really they should be clear, but obviously they're not. Right. In the sense of when my mother did file that restraining order, I didn't fight it at all because basically my mother it was only her words. They were all bullshit. There would be no real reason why a court would approve it. I, at that point in time, was curious as to if what I went through with the mother of my child would be similar for anyone else in a different case, because it was so blatantly, the accusations were so blatantly false that it didn't make sense. Very, very similar to this, that it would even proceed as a case in the sense of currently I don't have any real diagnosis. Apparently, that diagnosis from Sean is a fucking total setup then, because like I've never even heard it. I've asked for all my medical records. I literally have an entire recording of me in SF General Hospital when I got sick, when I finally got
in 2020.
In 2020,
Yeah.
where I was saying, listen, my mother keeps telling me there's some fucking records here in San Francisco that I don't know anything about. Every time I ask people about them, they don't know exist. But my mother's telling me there's some records that exist about my mental health. Like, what the fuck are these records? And they kept them from me. I had to, like, on my deathbed, because that's when I was on my deathbed, on my fucking deathbed, nobody would even tell me the existence of those records whatsoever. It was after I got out of the hospital, a few months later, where I finally requested all my records from SF General, and then I got the record from SF General from 2017, that still nobody will talk about. Nobody. I've tried to get it corrected. My mother has now written a letter. Still. There's no fucking question about it. And now you're telling me about one that I didn't even know about, that my mother has been mentioning, but I didn't know what she was talking about.
So this isn't your mom. This is the Department of Public Health, right?
But again, she knows.
Okay.
So that means that, again, this is what I'm saying. What my mother knows is that for somehow or another, my mother knows more about my own fucking records than I do myself, even when I've been asking for them. Even when I was on my deathbed and saying, I need to fucking figure this out. I'm on my deathbed. My fucking deathbed. My mother keeps calling the fucking hospital saying, I want to talk to my son. And I'm like, dude, I can't talk to her because I have no idea what's going on. She keeps telling me I have mental health records. They don't even exist. And you're not even like, to me, that's a serious enough issue, especially if I'm in the hospital. I'm in the hospital, dying. Mm-hmm. I'm saying to them, can somebody please figure this out? Mm-hmm. I can't talk to her like this. Like, she's telling me things that don't make any sense to me. And if you somehow know they make sense, just tell me. Because I don't know. So, sorry. It's just that you're literally telling me not just one record, two different records that I have fought for, got arrested for, went to his fucking, literally wrote emails, tried to explain as calmly as possible. This is fucking weird. Yeah. Like, I'm being told by my mother there's records that exist about my mental health. I'm a grown-up fucking adult. Right. My mother, I don't even have that type of relationship. My mother never have. I wasn't even really raised by my mother that way. So it makes no sense for her to be able to manipulate that many people in this city to just completely act as if it's okay to not tell me anything about my own mental health records. Mm-hmm.
Well, so this report that I'm referencing right now, you have a right to this report. It is
now
so clear. Yeah.
Now.
I just want to clarify what I'm saying, a couple things, okay? So first things first, extremely clear into the CARE Act. I triple checked it this morning. You have a right to this report. No one can tell you no.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. That would be ridiculous. But that's again, sorry.
Your mom does not have a right to this report, and I have not provided it to her. I don't believe the city has, and I.
Yeah, again, it has to get. I mean, it has to get submitted to Florida anyway, because again, right now the prosecution of Florida wants me to receive mental health services, but they're basing it only off of my mother's accusation that I need mental health services. So I can't avoid not addressing the court in Florida about this. Like, do you understand that this is a very, very big deal?
The connection.
Like, right now, the case in Florida can fully go away by me getting mental health services. My mother is the person who can aid in me getting them away from this court. What she's doing is actually hindering me getting them. Because she's the one who's financially responsible for me. She's the one who can do anything. I can't do anything. The reason I did that was specifically so that no one could argue that I'm not doing anything. My mother can control everything. Literally, she can control everything. So there's no argument as to whether or not, like, you know what I mean? Like, so currently, instead of aiding me in addressing the courts in Florida's concern about my mental health, my mother is doing something that if she is not a vexatious litigant, she's intending to aid and work with the court in Florida if you can justify how that's sane, in the sense of she is aware of the court in Florida does want me to receive psychiatric services. It's not known for what, other than apparently my mother's belief that I have bipolar. One way or the other, in order to address that, this doesn't make sense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow.
And so the fact of the matter is, this goes back to the main issue, is that these proceedings are not irrelevant or stand alone. Period. It's very odd, especially in a mental health situation, to want to believe that there would be any proceedings that would be standalone, because that's why 5150 exists. That's why I don't even get like who sat around and wrote this fucking law, because it doesn't make any sense. And so I understand that I have the right for those reports. I also understand that they're all confidential. I also understand the fact that they can't be confidential in my case, because the fact of the matter is that this doesn't resolve my issues. My issues are that my mother currently has all the displays or has all the symptoms of needing mental health services, and she's the one being denied those. Okay. That's the bigger issue, because again, my case in Florida is dealt with simply by this, one way or the other, in the sense of whether it's dismissed or goes forward, simply by the fact that she filed this is relevant to another case in Florida. And it's absolutely ridiculous for the court of San Francisco to believe that it wouldn't be. In other words, I understand totally the right for myself to hold things confidential, but there's a difference between my rights and my mother's rights and or the rights of the respondent. And that's what's happening in both particular cases here in San Francisco. Right now, in San Francisco, there has now been 2 cases specifically under this specific judge in which the respondent, there are independent, verifiable reasons and recommendations for the respondent in the case. Sorry.
That's okay.
I mixed it up because I didn't mean the respondent. Because I was the petitioner in one case and I'm the respondent in this case.
Yes.
And so I'm sorry. But either way, in the sense of there have now been multiple cases under this judge in which there have been reasons to believe that the person making accusations that another needs mental health services has had either a diagnosis or previously been recommended to receive mental health treatment, and it is that person who has been denied any addressal of those concerns, simply by the fact that they made an accusation against someone else. It makes no sense. You know what I mean? It's like, why would we have an entire proceeding based on an accusation against a person and not at all discuss the credibility and merit of the person who made the accusation, rather than what has been done in San Francisco has simply been like, well, we agree with you, they don't have any merit, so we're not going to be concerned about whether or not that indicates that that person needs mental health services themselves.
And that person being your mother?
Anyone, because again, anyone, like whether it be me as well, because again, like, so what happened with me was in family court, I was like, look, my ex has been diagnosed. She's been diagnosed. There's signs that there's abuse going on. Factually, it's the same situation with my mother. Like, I don't know who people expect me to be. I don't assume that I know about people that I don't speak to. I don't assume I know their mental health. I don't assume I know what's going on. I respect people's privacy up to a point when they don't respect mine. But like, you know what I'm saying? But like, so for the mother of my child, we were separated. I had my child a little bit over the majority of the time. However, there were signals that my child was being abused. There was a diagnosis. I was aware of a previous diagnosis. went to in front of that judge, the same judge, and said, "Hey, judge, I think we should have a mental health evaluation." And actually, sorry, no, because I actually was silent and I still hadn't said anything because of the fact that I couldn't assume. But the mother of my child was making accusations against me being unrealistic or unreasonable in questioning whether or not certain injuries, where they occurred or whatever. So that's when I said, okay, well then, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Cool. And actually, again, that's why I think maybe that was a mistake, because that is how I approached it. I didn't approach it more as accusing the other person. I approached it as even really how I approached today, in the sense of being like, maybe it is me. I'm just trying to figure out if it's me. I need some kind of, logical or kind of like some real defined treatment options. And so, sorry, just to make it clear, what has happened twice is when there have been actual indications or evidence of a diagnosis or existence of symptoms, it has been at that point in time in which there has been no further discussion of mental health services.
Okay.
Like, it's only ever been at the point in which it's been proven that there has been either a diagnosis or the existence of symptoms, at which point there has been no further discussion of mental health services. At all points in time now, since 2016, 2015, and somewhere around there, at all points in time, every time there's been an accusation of mental health services needed in San Francisco, the discussion has stopped once there has been either evidence of a previous diagnosis or the existence of current symptoms of needing mental health services. There has been no further discussion as to what services could be or would be needed to be obtained.
Absolutely.
Always at the moment that there has been some sort of evidence of...
I have witnessed that myself in my own experience, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought that was an anomaly.
And I completely agree with you. I sometimes sit around and cannot believe what goes on at the Department of Public Health. I 1000% agree with you, and have myself asked those very questions of what the heck is going on here.
I'm sorry. I just feel sorry that I've talked too much.
No, it's okay. So there were a couple things I wanted to cover, and then I know 30 minutes ago you said you wanted to wrap this up, so I want to respect your time and respect.
It's really more about respecting yours, and I mean, like, for me, I could go on for this forever, but also it's not healthy.
Yeah, and I know with when you have heart conditions, monitoring your stress is super important.
No, I mean, it's helping me relieve it. Like, I honestly, up to now, I really thought it was only me.
Do you want some water?
I wouldn't mind.
Okay, Chris, can you get some water? So a couple things from what you talked about. The first thing is, do you want to set up? I think we should have another appointment.
Yeah. So I mean, for myself, and not that I'm trying to control anything, but for myself, it feels as if like I'm still just more. I've given you a lot in the sense of there's a lot of different angles to it. There's a lot of different ways to approach it. For myself, like I said, my main concern is my own safety, because the fact is I can't even get a restraining order against my mother because I can't. So because she lives in Florida, I can't file it here in San Francisco. In San Francisco, there's basically no documentation that there's any reason to believe my mother has ever harassed me. Like, everything's confidential, exactly, even with this case. So, my main concern is the fact is that this isn't about my confidentiality. It's about the fact that, like, I've already risked my confidentiality. Again, I'm being harassed, and I have been harassed because I've been trying to deal with this. So, sorry, I don't know how to summarize that in a very quick and easy way. Is that I need to address my mother's ability to harass me, as well as simply misspend and inappropriately allocate the city's resources. Like, that's my main concern with this. There are many other secondary concerns that I believe you're aware of, simply just being a lawyer and a person, that you can help address. But again, the main thing is more of the secondary definition of vexatious, and whether or not my mother's other actions concerning and involving various employees of the city. So in other words, things like even just like the Sean thing, because the Sean thing's fucking weird, and that's what I mean. It's like everything that I know of seems to involve her up to a certain point, and I can't get it fixed, and she seems to know that, because as far as people are concerned, including even my cardiologist, he seems to believe that me and my mother are just in a dispute, that we're just having a disagreement of some sort, and I can't seem to be able to express that that's not the point. That's not what's happening. Like, that's not what's happening. Like, I didn't know how to explain it. Like, that's not what's happening. Like, right now, take the case in Florida away, I don't feel comfortable with my mother paying my rent. I don't, like, it's really odd. But that's not...
Sure. And those are things that...
That's not normal.
Yeah. That was kind of one of the things that I had on my agenda before we wrap up, is let's put Florida to the side for a moment and just talk about you right now. And like you were saying, what your needs and what your wishes are, right? And so one of the things is that I talked about her in the beginning, Kim Cruz, who works at my office. She's a licensed clinical social worker in LCSW. I could have you meet with her and you guys get to know each other and see if she thinks that there are other options for you to receive care in ways that you want.
No, because that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
The only fucking care I need, I'm sorry, but this is just anger, like it is, because it doesn't make any sense. The only care I need is addressing my mother's fucking ability to make absolutely stupid false claims. Again, sorry. The main fucking thing. My daughter was declared missing twice based on the words of my mother. You know how ridiculous that is? Absolutely ridiculous. Someone who doesn't even live in San Francisco at the time, not with me. Again, so just because I don't know if these things get twisted. At that point in time, my daughter's not even with me. So there's absolutely no reason, none, even in a preliminary questioning, for a fucking police officer in San Francisco to declare my daughter missing based on my fucking mother calling from Australia.
I hear you. I do.
So why would I fucking need a social worker because fucking cops here in San Francisco did that?
I'm not saying you need a social worker.
No, but I am saying
Yeah.
that I am tired of there being no answer when it happens. Again, what has happened continuously is shit like this. You're telling me, yo, you can get a social worker. Why? For fucking what? Listen, my mother, right now, as far as you guys are concerned, it doesn't matter that whether my mother's crazy or not. So all that matters is you're just trying to get fucking more money to spend for fucking no reason, because the only fucking point in time you should ever be involved in my life is if I was fucking homeless or if I needed your services. I don't. The problem is you've involved yourself so much in my life. What I need is a correction of the fucking behaviors and actions of the employees of this city. Not to fucking see a social worker about what they fucking did. Like, I'm sorry. It's just like, that's so fucking offensive. You're telling me after 6 years or so of having fucking people in this city act completely fucking illogical and stupid if by no other means, taking the words of someone who doesn't even live in the state and specifically across the entire country in Florida. A fucking mean fucking state as far as an inability to judge or decide anyone's fucking mental health in the state of California. And somehow, here in San Francisco, people have taken the word of someone in Florida to do such many actions as far as declare a child missing twice, have multiple police show up at my house many times. Fucking Nelson, the Adult Protective Services, Mobile Health Crisis Units. We're talking 20 to 30 different interactions with different employees of this city. And at all fucking points in time, the only fucking thing they can say is, after we've driven you crazy, go talk to a social worker. Because the only reason I would ever even need to talk to anyone is because they've talked to me. They've literally, like, you get what I'm saying? I would be living completely unknown to you and everybody, completely everybody, if it wasn't for the fact that, no, not my mother. Again, not my mother. If it wasn't for the fact that multiple employees in this city picked up a fucking phone, said, hello. Somebody in fucking Florida said, I think I know what's going on in San Francisco, and they didn't question anything. Anything. And even after they were told, did it multiple times. Yo, the first time, cool. The first, and we're talking Angelica Almeida. We're talking
Charlie,
the director of this program.
Charlie,
what? I'm sorry.
So you can continue talking, but I have other people who have meetings and stuff going on, so I'm just gonna have to ask you
I'm
to lower
sorry.
your voice. Okay?
And I apologize.
Yeah.
Thank you for being the way you are. I apologize.
So
I just want to make it clear. We're talking Angelica Almeida, the person who would be taking over this case as kind of like the prosecutor or whatever, or at least taking my mother's position. She herself, quite literally, when said to her, we need to avoid this from happening over and over again. I get the first time. My mother's calling. That's great. You know how special that makes me feel? That's really great. You guys are going through a lot of issues for this. For some reason, you're really listening to my mom, even though I see that you don't listen to other people in the city for some reason. That's great. That's really awesome. You're treating my mother like she's a fucking queen. You're even treating me really special. I really, really appreciate it. But realistically, my mother does need help. And she is on the lease. She is a resident. Can you at least talk to her? Can we at least kind of figure this out? I went to even community fucking whatever, the nonprofit.
Community boards.
The community boards.
Yeah.
Even they didn't fucking help. They literally told me the same shit. Your mother says you need to talk to the fucking psychiatrist. The whole reason this is happening is because I already went through an evaluation. We have already gone through all this, and we're still going in circles on this. So at this point in time, I don't know what other conclusion to come to, that it seems that this is my mother who needs the services. Because when I was told I may need services, I already went to it. I went to a therapist on my own. I went to an evaluation on my own. Even this is fucking me over. Look how many problems I've had searching for psychiatric services that for fucking some reason Sean Gallagher apparently diagnosed me as schizophrenic and never told me. And then on top of that, for years later, as I'm asking people, hey, it seems as if you guys think I need services. It seems as if you guys believe I'm diagnosed with something. Can you please tell me what it is?
Sure. So I want to respect your time and wanting to wrap this up. So there's, I guess, some quick things that I want to lay out my to-do list. Okay.
Yes.
Before our next appointment. So
Yes. Sorry.
Same page. That's okay. So I'm gonna just speak out loud my to-do list. You let me know if I'm missing anything that I need to do.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
So one is research the vexatious litigant issue. Okay. 2 is get the discovery of the records from the Department of Public Health that are referenced in that report.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm gonna need them because I never even got. I mean, the Sean one I never got. So.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll release those to me, but we will see.
No, I mean they definitely should with my signature.
Well, and that was the next thing is that we have a release to sign.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I would like to reflect on my own self how we can communicate better.
Cool.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I think would help me better communicate with you would be if I could do my own research about the case in Florida and about the family law case that you've mentioned. Yep. So if you could provide me, I know you don't have them off the top of your head and I don't expect you to, but if you could text me or email me those case numbers and the names of whoever the petition, I think you said you were the petitioner in the family case.
Yeah.
And who the respondent is, just the information for those cases so I can do my own research.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the more relevant case really is the more recent criminal one.
The one in Florida or the one here in Peskin?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's another thing. That case has been completely dismissed. You're not on any...
Yes, as far as I know.
Okay. Did you have a public defender in that case?
Yeah, Danny something. He's the mental health guy too, and that's the whole thing too. Like, because this is sorry. I just want to make it very clear because this is what I wanted to happen, and then when although it is much more likely, and because I have to assume I'm not having received clarification, it is more likely that it was much more a compelling reason to drop the case that Aaron Peskin ended up on my social media, reposted some of my accounts, and on my social media specifically was the evidence that I had not made a threat. In other words, the evidence that his staff had lied. It was after that the case was dismissed. However, there was again the plea bargain or an offer from the prosecution and/or desire from the prosecution that I receive mental health services, because again, they were also under the belief that my mother had been wanting me to receive services and I hadn't. However, on my social media, the same one that Aaron ended up being on, I also have the fact that literally again, every day I have been trying to reach out to different people, different therapists, to someone to kind of get in the middle or try to figure out what's going on with my mom, because my mom right now currently is causing me to go to jail, and yet she's telling other people that she's trying to help me.
Okay. So can we get back to the to-do list? So two things that come from what you just said. Would you give me permission to speak with your public defender?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so we'll need to sign a release for that.
Yeah, I know the thing is because, the main point of that is, at the point in time Danny got to me, I was very frustrated in the sense of this was the second time a public defender had...
I'm just going to print out the release.
Sure. Had basically disregarded my mother's mental health, and also was just kind of like, well, we're going to get the case dismissed, whatever about it. And I'm like, yeah, but the big thing is, what's currently happening with my mother and the fact that this keeps happening. And so I did not want the case to be sealed, but he was arguing with me, or I should say arguing. He felt as if it should be sealed, and at that point in time, again, my priority is trying to figure out my mom, not really
the
what
public defender in San Francisco felt like your case with Aaron Peskin should be sealed.
Yes, so that is, in summary of it is, of course, you could have totally access for it. I don't know what it means when things are sealed.
He may not talk to me. We don't, it's hard to say. But
Sure.
I'd like to at least have
again, that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure, but if he wouldn't, it's weird to be hostile in this position. That's what's been very frustrating for myself, in that it's understandable that you can run into some people that would be hostile in this kind of process. But like, there's been a lot of hesitation or resistance to talk from people. So I would hope he does.
I hope he does too. I used to be a public defender, so there are times where I would be like, this case is dismissed, there's nothing to talk about. But
there's two of them, really.
I don't know him, so I don't know what he's going to say.
There's two of them that are relevant, because Mallory is the one who... not Mallory. Melanie Malroy, I think.
Melanie Malroy, she's a public defender?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was newer, because Danny has much more experience. But
do you know Danny's last name?
I forgot Danny's last name.
Okay.
I forgot, I don't even remember. Because I didn't...
Younger?
I did not meet Danny in person. Danny, it was taken over by... Oh man, it was taken over by another lawyer. I don't remember his name either. But basically what happened was, one lawyer had me initially, and we were going to get the case dismissed immediately because I already had the evidence that, like, they lied, right? But the thing is, I wanted to see if I could get them to perjure themselves, because again, everything I'm doing is trying to deal with my mother's mental health and or my child. It's all related to that judge and whether or not... It's all related to that. It's all related to the fact that, for whatever reason, there have been lots of discussion and focus on accusations as to my need for mental health services, while there's been complete disregard for others.
Okay.
It's all about that. So when... so there are two different lawyers. Mallory Malroy is the one who represented me and specifically had to address the concerns about my mother's mental health with the court in San Francisco to request my release on the Florida charges.
So Melanie Mallory was the public defender in the extradition case?
Yes, exactly. Sorry, I should have said it that way.
It's okay. Like you said, it's a very unique case, so it's okay if you don't know the best way to describe it.
And I'm not sure if it's Melanie, but I know it's MM, and I will definitely confirm that.
Yeah, if you could just confirm the names of those folks. I'm going to draft the release right now just to the San Francisco Public Defender.
Mm-hmm.
If that's good enough, then they'll accept it. I don't know if they want a specific attorney's name or if the name of the office is good enough.
Yeah, it should be, because, it should be.
Yeah.
Because they all deal with each other, and there's other people that dealt with the case as well.
So the other question that I have for you is, I've got a couple different ways of your name being listed. One is just Charlie, and how do I pronounce it? Troche? Troche?
Yes, whichever.
Troche? How would you like me to pronounce it?
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
It just doesn't matter.
Okay.
I sorry. As time has gone on, it feels odd when I say that. What I mean by that is that it is a name. The way it's pronounced is troche.
Troche?
In Spanish, many people have difficulty pronouncing it as well. So I'm very used to not many people pronouncing it, and so it's not that it doesn't matter. It's that it is not. It would be unfair to judge you on it.
Okay.
And I don't know, I haven't figured out a way to say that to people.
I hear you. Yeah, my last name is Willison, and people often just call me Kaitlyn Wilson.
Ah.
And at some point, there are times where I'm like, that's not my name, and there are other times where I'm like, what's the point?
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
It's Hillard. I've known it Hillard. That's how.
Yeah.
That way as
So
well.
the root of my question is, sometimes I've seen it Troche Estrada, and sometimes I've just seen it Troche.
And that's the other way. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So I was born in Puerto Rico,
Okay.
and so. God damn, I forgot the legal point of this. But
What is
basically, my surname is Troche, so it doesn't like
What does your California ID say?
both now.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to put, just to be safe. Okay? And Estrada is Estrada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've got a couple different dates of birth for you. I want to confirm the right one.
What?
Well, one is that the city says it's different than what your mom says. I'm going to...
What?
That is only, I think, because the city is very sloppy.
Yeah, but this is not fair. Like, they don't have anything about me accurate then. Like, not one thing.
So I have your birthday in one location, September 19th, 1977?
No.
Okay, what is your birthday?
9/10, but that doesn't even make sense. And
September
what
10th?
location? Yeah, what location then?
This is a report written by Nelson saying that your date of birth is September 19th, 1977.
Why would he even write that?
I asked myself the same question. So, do you have your California ID on you?
Yeah.
Can I take a look at it?
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all a fucking setup. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, why
Can
would
I
a
make a copy of
server?
this?
Sure.
Okay.
Why would a server? Why would a court
He's
server?
not even just a server. He's actually his job title at the Department of Public Health is Senior Behavioral Health Clinician.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I meant. That's really, really what I meant. Not server. It's really that's what I meant. Like, why would a clinician who words and documents are official write a birth date for someone who he did not verify or have any communication with, and that told him, if you want any information about the person you're looking for, you have to that's the point. He didn't as far as he knows, he didn't speak to me. He spoke to someone in my apartment who told him, if you would like to contact Charlie, do it either by mail or phone. Why would a clinician then write down
The wrong birthday.
that not only that they spoke to me, but that they wrote that they have my birth date?
Yeah.
Like, I know that you're saying that you understand, but it's what you're also indicating is that you understand that there's been a conspiracy to avoid investigating child abuse and trafficking, as well as creating a false narrative and records of the mental health of the person who made the accusations of the existence of child abuse and trafficking. You understand that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big fucking deal. That's not a small deal. Like, it's been all these little small errors and false reports that basically amount to hindering any ability to properly investigate child abuse and trafficking. And it's very difficult to believe none of these people are aware that they're part of that. In other words, they're all just individually making these mistakes.
Mm-hmm. I just need to look at it one more time. I just want to make sure I get it right because it's wrong in the record. So, September 10th, 1977. And so this that I'm filling out right now is a release of information for me to speak with the Department of Public Health.
Yeah.
Are you willing to sign that?
Yes. Wait, I need that. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is... I thought I had every record. I thought I've already requested every record. I've done this multiple times. I've spoken to multiple people. I apparently don't have every record. So yes, I would like you, because yes, and let me make sure I'm clear on this. All the records that you obtain, you would be able to either provide me a copy and or at least access to review. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So I would like to ensure that every single record they have is provided because... Sorry, that's just a simple statement, but in to provide context, because I have literally been arrested twice in 2 different states, specifically trying to get every single record, because it has been the lack of access of the records and what they indicate that has hindered my ability to properly address any accusations made against me.
In Florida.
Just in Florida as well,
Yeah.
but any accusations, official or not. In other words, I know, again, it's hard to get everything in, but there are people that are threatening me online because they believe that my mother doesn't like me, or that I'm just not getting any help, and that I'm a violent person, and that I don't... Just many false accusations that all resolve around a belief that I have no desire or ability to seek mental health services or address anyone's concerns about my behaviors, my mental health, my actions. There is truly, and I can't exaggerate, I'm not exaggerating this at all. There is truly, both online and offline, various individuals, whether purposely or not conspiring, have resulted in a belief and narrative that I am avoiding addressing any concerns about my mental health or any of my actions or behaviors. There are people who really, really, really believe that I'm a violent person, and the reason why my mother doesn't speak to me and all this is because I'm not willing to talk to anyone, that I'm not talking to anyone, that I am isolating myself. There's many people, more people that I don't know. It's gotten to that point. It's gotten creepy. People that I don't know have accused me of isolating myself from my mother, my daughter, like as if I am purposely avoiding my responsibility as a son and a father. Quite literally, there is a conspiracy, both, again, just not purposeful, but has resulted both in just the record keeping by various employees of the city, as well as in an effort to address that has drawn online individuals who I don't know, who have, in the spirit of the internet and trolling, have decided to just jump on trolling me rather than helping me. So in other words, when I've gone to the city for help, the city has basically trolled me and said, hey, go get mental health services somewhere. We're not going to tell you where. We're not going to tell you how. Just do it somehow all on your own. And then when I've gone on the internet and been like, I don't know what's going on in San Francisco, I really need to get help, then other people have basically assumed that I am incapable of finding help on my own rather than I simply have not been informed of any reasons why it would be reasonable for me to seek help rather than address the symptoms and concerns of the people who have made accusations.
Yeah. So I sent some releases to the printer. Could you grab them? Thank you. We will fill. This one is really long, and I don't think we necessarily need it, so we'll save this for next time.
Okay.
What this is it's an additional release of information through the Department of Public Health for you to send on your own behalf.
Let me get that because I want to get it. I do want to. Well, I'm sure you're going to provide more, but
yeah.
or more.
Well, I already
more,
wrote my name on it, so we should. We'll go.
If you have whiteout, you could do it. If not, I definitely will white it out. It's not like.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to. It would make no sense for me to leave it. You know what I'm saying? Because we're also doing this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm hoping this will work. That is like another card in the deck if they don't give me, like, say, the West Side records or any of those things. Rather than going through Nelson, we can just go to West Side and say, give it to me, right?
Yeah.
So that's what this would be the backup for. Is
yes.
If Angelica or Nelson or whoever says, I'm not going to give that to you, Kaitlyn.
Yeah.
Then we can have you go to West Side or you go to whoever and say, give it to me. I need it for my lawyer. And then
just to clarify, because again, this is just one of those things.
Yeah.
So Sarah Sutton, and it's on my social media right now.
What is your screen name?
Swenyando.
How do I spell that?
SWENYANDO.
Okay, and can I?
Yeah, totally. It's a mess. So in other words, I will tell you this: my social media looks totally different than anybody else's, because basically what happened was, I'm an artist. I was gonna kind of go do my art thing, and then my daughter was born, and I was doing it mostly to cope with that. But then there were kind of signals and issues with my daughter's safety, and so my account became like a journal. It's basically just like sorry, I'm really tired of not being able to speak directly and clearly. It's basically an art journal, and so it's kind of weird because it has kind of like memes, and it also has a lot of my own personal thoughts and things like that. But it also is a place that has a lot of relevant documentation, and so on that account, on the pin post, on the top, there are 3 posts. One of them says, listen for a threat that is concerning the Aaron case, as well as there are some details about the case of Florida. On specifically dealing with these particular documents and the release of medical records. On that account, there is a phone call with Sarah Sutton, who is an employee of the city. I believe she's a supervisor, who in that phone call stated to me, in me requesting an ability to get the records that San Francisco may have, that they could only be obtained by a subpoena. And so it's relevant for 2 different reasons, because you are alluding to the fact that she seems to be not incorrect in that there seems to be instances in which the city denies an individual access to their own records. However, so there's that. There's not a however. So there's just that fact. It's relevant because she did state that I would only be able to obtain my own records through a subpoena. And that is one of the reasons why I was in Aaron's office, in the sense of not Angelica, but the director of public health now. I don't know. That is maybe Angelica. No, Sing something.
Grant Colfax?
No, sorry. It's another individual. You're sure you recognize it. Either way, a person who I was directed by Aaron Penskin's staff to be the director of public health or the appropriate authority to answer why Sarah Sutton would not provide me information on how to obtain my records. Did you follow that, or did I go somewhere
Let me
weird?
just read this real fast, and
Okay.
then we'll get through it. Sorry,
Cool,
I have a hard
cool.
time reading and listening.
No, totally,
Okay.
totally. I get it.
Okay. So this specifies certain types of records, so discharge summary, assessment, treatments of plan, it lists all these things. There's also a box that says other. I think we should check this box and just wrote all records of any type.
Because
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I know that you are. It makes sense that you're doing it. It's just, I do want to clarify that I have been like, again, the reason I was arrested is because I was asking, does this exist? And what I was told no, many times over. I was told many times over there wasn't a form that I could fill out. In other words, the reason why I have been accused of even needing mental health services basically has been because when I've called and said I need to get records, people have been, I didn't know this exists.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, I just need to get my own records. And they're like, well, you can't even get your own records. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't get your own records? And then Aaron Peskin's staff was like, that doesn't sound right. You should get your own records. And so then I then recontacted the Department of Health, who then gave me the runaround again and said, no, you can't get your own records. And I'm like, well, Aaron's office said you should get them. And so in other words, it's just for my own kind of sanity. I would like to be able to describe it in a way that others understand that quite literally, I was arrested and in jail and have suffered a lot. In other words, I've gone through a lot of communications, and I've tried a lot simply to ask if there is even a form so that I can request my own records. And it's right here. Like apparently this existed the entire time. And so I think it's clear. And so
I understand where you're coming from. I will give you one heads up that there is a portion on this form. Sorry, it's hard for me to read upside down.
I just do think it's relevant in discussing the case that has occurred.
So there are portions of the law I don't have the citations for you off the top of my head that say that specifically psychotherapy notes. So if you were to go see a therapist, when you see a therapist, they're writing notes.
We're talking diagnosis. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this is very frustrating. Like that's just weird. Like how am I gonna you're telling it's just like you're telling me two different psychiatrists, two different mental health professionals have diagnosed, not just made a recommendation, not made an observation. They have written down a fucking diagnosis that I'm hearing from my lawyer. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like it's not even I'm sorry, it's just irresponsible. Because what am I if I was what do you call that? Whatever, schizophrenic. Like I don't know, but I would imagine that doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't, how am I supposed to just go on it's just, and that's what I'm saying. This is what I mean with the mother of my child, and it is something that is not clear to me. How is it acceptable to just flippantly make either revelations or accusations of mental health needs flippantly? It's just weird. It's just weird. I'm sorry. It's just very weird. And I know that you said you understand, but it's just weird. So Nelson he had to have read through all that previously. And that means he, as a clinician, I've only had to take preliminary psychology just for my own study. So it's as a clinician, he literally read all that. Saw that there happened to be a previous diagnosis of schizophrenia, which I don't know. I've only dealt with one person that I knew was actually diagnosed. And his family was extremely concerned about him. They were always double checking in on him. So it's weird to me that that's what he read all that and then just showed up at my house and basically would have triggered paranoia. Purposely. It's just so just weird.
It is weird. It's very weird. So, this is a release of information for me to request records from the Department of Public Health. I believe as your attorney, I already have rights to those records. So again, this is a backup on a backup, so we'll give them, I'm going to request them first. If they say, give me a release, we have this.
Yeah,
if they say no, we have that. Okay?
To be clear, though, it's the same. We're on the same page in the sense of, I think it's absolutely ridiculous for you to even have me sign in this in the sense of whatever, but the reason for it is because of the fact that there is a need for verification, official verification as to what the process would be in obtaining records, and the difference that would be in a lawyer doing so, or myself doing so, because one of the questions that my mother has led to my mother's filing is whether or not my actions in seeking Aaron Peskin's assistance in having that clarified was or was not logical or sane.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so the next thing before you sign this is this says that the authorization automatically expires in 90 days.
Yep.
In my experience, care court does not wrap up in 90 days.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Like, again, I have court in Florida, which, again, I'm either going to... I'm just going to clarify once again.
Okay.
My mother is the only person... I don't have really the financial means to get to Florida, as well as even if I did, it would hurt my case because I have to be able to tell the judge, like, look, I'm getting fucked over. Like, that's really what's happening. So, point being is, I understand you have to clarify for legal purposes and ethical purposes, but I also just want to make sure that it's clear, and I should just stop repeating myself, but I also want to make sure that it's clear, like, more than... This is extremely relevant to the court in Florida, my case in Florida, in other words. So I have my hearing is mid-July, I think July 13th, something like that. Okay. So, and if I don't make it, then I'm gonna get either arrested here, or I have to go there.
So you have to get back to Tampa by July 13th.
And it's not back. I've never been to Tampa. It's just, and I just want to clarify that, just because that has been something that has happened here in San Francisco often, in which for some reason there has also been a false narrative or a desire to at least not correct the fact that I've never been to Florida. I've never been to Tampa. And it's just relevant in a lot of the... anything relevant to my mental health. There's always an accusation of going back to Tampa or returning to Tampa as if I have had a relationship there. And obviously it's very important for my mental health, as well as just a criminal case, that I've never been in Florida. I don't have the means to get to Florida on my own.
Do you have a public defender in Florida?
No, that's where I'm fucked. And that's what the problem.
Not?
Because my mother, again, this is so... Sorry. My mother is the person who paid for the lawyer. I didn't realize that was going to fuck me over.
Your mother paid for your lawyer against a... Okay. So what is the name of the lawyer that you have in Florida?
Michael Maddox.
Mike Maddox, Maddox?
Maddaux.
Okay. I'm going to Google
And I'm going to have to confirm it, because I don't know.
Well, let me just Google him right now. Sometimes I can look up lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's probably Michael, I assume, right?
Michael.
And you think it's spelled
Maddaux.
US. And he's based out of Tampa? Okay.
And obviously, like I said, I'll give you all the paperwork, I'll give you all the...
So there's a Michael P. Maddox, Maddux, without the A. Does that sound right? Okay. So we will do a release for that as well. So I'll give you the easy ones first. This is the release of information to speak with the San Francisco Public Defender. I need you to sign your name, print your name, and date it. Today's date is June
6/3, right?
3rd. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and what does it matter, I guess? Because the thing is, too, is that I went through this with my public defender, like I said, Marguerite, I believe. And I signed all this shit, too.
This is a release for me to speak with Michael Maddox.
Okay. And then just to clarify. So all this, the the releases to talk to people, whatever. I did with, like I said, Marguerite Malloy or Mallory
At the public defender.
at the public defender's office, just so that it's in your head, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Because this kind of stuff was relevant as well, to argue for my release in
For the
San Francisco.
extradition.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so what I was getting at about the 90 days is that we can write our own date for when it expires. Care court is supposed to be 12 months long, but like I said before, a lot of times it doesn't even start we're not even getting into like the meat of things for several months. So I think we should put on there 2026, so 2 years.
No, just do it July 1st or whatever. Because again, I need to be clear on this. Obviously, I have certain goals, but this is all bullshit. This is I have much more relevant things. In other words, I can't just waste my time on this.
So this isn't going to the court. This is saying if we don't put a special date in here, the Department of Public Health can say after 90 days of today's date, I don't have to talk to Kaitlyn anymore.
Yeah, that seems perfectly fine.
Okay. That's not my preference as your lawyer, but if that's what you want, then we can leave it.
But why would it be different? Again, like explain to me.
In case this goes on for longer than 90 days.
Do you not understand that this doesn't matter? I am facing criminal charges in Florida that literally I will get completely convicted on just based on my mother's silence.
Okay.
Period. So in other words, the
days.
only thing that I have right now, the only way I can fight my case in Florida is either A, receive psychiatric services before then, so it's not going to be fucking 12 months from now. It has to be fairly immediate, or be able to prove to the court in Florida that, hey, I'm trying to fucking figure this out, and nobody's even trying to help me figure this out. One way or the other, I need to do that. I need to either prove that, hey, San Francisco is so fucked. Florida, I want you to confirm, San Francisco is so fucked that they can't deal with any mental health issues whatsoever. So you're going to have to deal with it. That's what's going to happen. Or San Francisco can actually fucking get its shit together and deal with mental health in an urgent fashion. But so, yes, the 90 days, there's no way possible this goes for fucking 12 months. It shouldn't even be existing in the first place. And so when I ask, I just want to, so that's why I said it the way I said it, in the sense of there's no real way possible or logical that I can understand why it would be your belief, other than for billing purposes, that even though care court in general is expected and slated to last for about a year, that in this particular situation, in which it has already been described to you that you have a vexatious litigant that is either purposely doing this to assure a wrongful conviction, or has mental health services that need to be addressed urgently. There's only those two things. There's nothing else, because again, this is care court. Like,
okay,
it's
leave
all.
it how it is.
Okay, cool.
We'll leave it how it is.
Sorry.
So what I need for you to do is on this top, write your date of birth.
Yep.
And then you're gonna date it, sign it here. And then we don't need a witness. You're competent. We don't need an interpreter.
I don't have a witness too. Again, that's the whole point. Like, I don't have anyone in San Francisco, so there's no. It doesn't. The only person. This is what I'm saying. This is again. I don't. If you don't see this setup, it's just really difficult, because you see a lot of things. Currently, the only person who can step in and actually get me and have it certified without, and basically wrongfully have it certified officially that I have mental health needs that I'm supposedly not addressing, is Angelica Almeida. Is the only one. She's the only one by this. It's literally by this. There's no other fucking way. You get what I'm saying? Because like my mother is, it doesn't matter what my mother does one way or the other, because if she steps out, Angelica comes in. Sorry, you indicated that you understood what I meant, and so I'm sorry. I'm frustrated at myself.
Right here. Oh no, date of birth. So just cross that out.
Yeah. I will say I still doesn't make a lot. Oh no, you explained the Nelson thing. I thought maybe one day I
Is that right? September 20th? Is that your date of birth? I thought it was.
No, it's not. I try to do it one. But...
Okay, let me see if I have white out. Here, let's white that out and start over. No worries. Okay, and then we'll let this dry for a second, okay?
Yeah. I thought maybe that's what occurred into how somehow somebody had a birth date of 6/9 or 9/19, but not likely. And not likely. You
I
did
think
explain.
your reflection on how much care Nelson took in getting to know you, I think is probably the bigger explanation as to why they couldn't even get your date of birth right.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Like I said, that part of it, that part of it for some reason, that's where and I have spoken to therapists about this, so I'm very clear. It's just the way I am. Like, that hurts more because it makes me think of others. Like I have a neighbor of mine who, I don't know what's really wrong with her, but like literally every 2 or 3 months she starts yelling out the window. She thinks people are peeping at her, and like it's really weird. Like she lives on the top floor, and like the fire department always shows up, and then like every once in a while cops show up, and it's like I think about it, and it's like she's been crying for help.
Suffering.
She's been crying for help now for years, and like cops show up and everything, and then like nobody shows up at her house, or like only when she's in crisis. You know what I'm saying? Like no one seems to be caring about her. No one's like, and then I can't do it because like. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I guess I could if I wanted to be like super whatever, but it seems so inappropriate to like.
It's not your
I don't know, and I don't know. All I know is that she's yelling out the windows. I know what the cops would know. Cops show up and they're like, okay, whatever about it, and it's like, but then you got Nelson showing up at my spot. There's an entire all these proceedings, and yet it's just a runaround to.
I just only have 10 more minutes.
Sure.
So date of birth up here.
It just like I said, it just hurts because it's like if I really needed help.
Here, let's just write it above the whiteout. Yeah.
It doesn't seem as if I would get it, and then when I see people who really do need it, I don't see them getting it either. And yet, the city just has a lot of money and a lot of services supposedly available.
Okay, and then can you use initial next to that?
Yes.
Okay, and then you'll sign there. And date there, 6/3/2024.
I apologize.
You don't need to write that there. Let's see, we didn't use an interpreter. Okay, that one's all set. You're gonna keep this one, you said, and if we find out we want to fill it out when we meet next, we'll do that.
Yeah, and then can I get the other?
I'm gonna give you all these documents.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this is what your mother filed.
Mm-hmm.
This is the order appointing me as your attorney, proving that I'm your lawyer. Okay, in case anyone else asks for that.
Thank you.
This one is a bit strange. So, and this is Nelson's report. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this one is the order for dismissal. Now, it's got a stamp here that says that it was properly filed and served, but it doesn't have a signature of the judge.
Yep.
I think this was just an uploading error, that they uploaded the wrong document, and that there is an order that's out there, but I don't personally have it. Okay?
So, you know what, I'm still not very clear on this. As many cases I've had dismissed against me, I really don't know the
Can I put
dismissal.
this in your
Sure,
folder,
thank you.
Yeah.
So
let me walk
can you please, verify why, how is that relevant, whether or not there was a signature on that particular document?
I'm just saying, you wouldn't take this, let's say you took this to Florida, I'm just giving you a heads up. If you took this copy that I have right now in my possession to Florida, what Florida's going to tell you is it doesn't have a judicial signature, it's invalid.
Yes, we know that.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm saying I think there is a valid one out there.
And that's what I
just don't have it yet.
But just because there's a... Sorry, just...
Yeah.
So... So there's the face value, which is what I was saying. Anyway, so what you're saying is that there is a document in which the court has agreed that there is no, that the case should be dismissed. However, because I do not agree with that decision, the case is proceeding. but there is a document in which this is signed, which indicates that the court's decision was that if I did not want to proceed, they would dismiss it.
Yeah, let me.
Is that correct? Kind
Almost,
of?
yeah.
Okay.
So let me clarify that. My understanding from the emails that I've received from the court is that your case has been dismissed.
Okay.
That's why I called you on Friday to let you know your case has been dismissed.
That was not clear because I feel like we talked for a very long time and I did not understand that.
Okay.
So, but you did say that they did agree that we could proceed. Is that correct?
Well, so let me keep walking you through the timeline.
Okay.
So I call you on Friday because I get an email saying that your case has been dismissed. I called you to let you know your case has been dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple options that we can do. You can either just take that dismissal, walk away, never think about care court again, go on with your life, which is what lots of people do.
Yeah.
Okay? Or if you feel like you have something to say in regards to this situation, I can request that you be able to be heard in front of the judge.
And that's what we've already done.
And that's what we've done.
And now it's for the 17th, right?
For the 17th.
Okay, so I don't believe we're off on anything, right?
No, we're not.
Okay.
I'm letting you know that I'm giving you this now because it's the only copy that I have, but I'm going to give you a new copy eventually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. And then, again, this is because I also have to deal with a lot of my own legal things on my own. I understand that.
Yeah.
As far as the court in Florida their concerns would be, so currently, and help me just understand if I'm incorrect. Currently, the court in Florida's concern is that they believe that I am not seeking any mental health services on my own.
Okay.
So if this document, if I was to show it to anyone for any reason, the only reason I would be showing it is saying, hey, I am trying to do things. My mother, for some reason, isn't contacting me. She did, here's the easiest way I think, and sorry, really quickly, what I would, at this point in time, what I would probably need to do, and or my lawyer need to do, is say to the judge in Florida, like, this is what's going on, period. Like, this is what's going on.
And that's why I want to talk to Michael Maddox, right? And see, and listen from lawyer to lawyer what he thinks.
Well, I need to know the thing is, because there's full context in it. I don't know what's going on with him. Because, so 2 weeks ago, I needed to be in Florida. No matter what, or I was going to get a failure to appeal.
You had a court date?
I had a court date.
Okay.
My mother, again, is the person who, what is she called? The security, or the securer to the court. She's the one who...
She paid your bail?
Not just paid my bail, but secured... there's just an actual legal term for it. But anyway, she committed to the court that she would pay for any transportation for me to Florida if so I needed, as well as the lawyer, because the whole again, just like the summary of it, the only reason the judge let me out in San Francisco was because my case in Florida should be dismissed with my mother's word. Literally my mother, all my mother has to say is, hey, my son was just trying to get me help. That's it.
Okay.
But so right now, currently...
I only have 4 minutes. So,
sure.
Yeah.
So we don't need to go over this.
Okay.
We already know.
Well, yeah. So here's my plan for our next meeting, and that's there are 2 final questions, okay? One is, when is a good time for us to meet again? I need a couple of days, to talk to your public defender. I have a lot of people I need to talk to, right? We've been through my to-do list.
It's more up to you.
So I'm going to look at my calendar. And I have availability on Friday or Thursday.
Is that the 5th?
It would be Friday's the 7th, or I could do Thursday the 6th.
No, I'm good. Either one of those. Then I just have an appointment on the 5th, and I believe it's from like 10 to 2, or it's going to be 10 to 5. But it's irrelevant in the sense that those are totally different dates. Okay. So whatever date works best for you, and or it doesn't need to be chosen currently. Okay. It can be, later on this afternoon or whatever.
My next question would be, do you want Ferris at those meetings, or do you just want to meet with me and you? And he won't take it personally.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. I just,
I know. I'm sorry. I need to get over this. it feels awkward. Of course, I don't mind the servers there. It just feels weird to have to ask me. I understand you should, and I appreciate it and everything. But there's been no indicate other than following a policy that is in question, and there's nothing that you've done that indicates that, to me, at the very least, that your presence wouldn't be appreciated by all parties.
Yeah.
So
I like to have Ferris in most meetings. One, because I think he's really smart. Two, it's helpful for me as a team if I'm going to be talking through things that we're all on the same page, and that way I don't have to say, well, Charlie told me this, that, and the other thing. He can just hear it from you.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So what is your preference between Thursday and Friday?
Either works. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to do Friday. I am available after 11:30 until 4, but we're closed from 12 to 1. So it would either be 11:30 or 1 like we did today, or 2.
I would appreciate it if you chose, simply because this, as I told you before, this is a situation in which your alertness is appreciated and your ability to focus. We've already done a 1 p.m., so you have that as a base. We're just in different positions because you're working and I'm a defendant, and I'm having to approach it in a very different manner. So whatever works for you.
1 o'clock?
So works for me as well.
1 o'clock work for you?
Huh?
Okay. So Friday at 1, and I'll text you confirmation of that appointment. Okay?
Cool.
The next, and I think final question I have for today, in case I've missed anything, is that your mom has called me and left me a voicemail. The voicemail insinuates that I am committing fraud by representing you because you're not.
Kaylee, I don't know what to tell you about that. Again, so I'm sorry, and I don't mean to stop.
Let me just finish. So your mom has left me a rather aggressive voicemail, which sounds like is kind of in line with her personality, right? Saying that because you're not elderly,
the way she's acting.
Yeah, because you're not elderly, me representing you is fraud. What I would like to call her and tell her is that I actually have an order from a judge appointing me as your attorney. And so no matter what the name of my office is, I'm your lawyer. Is that okay? Or do you want me to not speak to your mom?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is, it puts me in a very uncomfortable and weird and confusing position, in the sense of, real quick. Yeah. My mother's personality, as well as mine, is that we wouldn't have to discuss this. Whatever would be appropriate for you to do is what you do.
Okay.
And so I don't know what to say to you, because what you're indicating to me, and as well as far as I've known her own education and personality, would be that everything that you've said to me indicates that there would be a need for urgent address as to her mental health state. But also we hear because there has been a lack of ability for anyone to either think or able to implement any known procedure to address a situation like that. So you're a professional. I'm not. Like, the whole reason I'm here is because I've had similar conversations with my mother that don't make any sense. We're here because my mother contacted Adult Protective Services in the past, and I have made an attempt to try to just, explain to her that it would, in San Francisco, that particular case, it wouldn't be appropriate. I almost did the same thing when I got here. Yeah. When I got here, because of my previous experience, I thought, oh my God, I'm back in this. Let me
back up. So I would like to speak to your mom for 2 reasons.
Are you just asking because you need my permission?
Yes.
Yes, of course you have my permission. I just don't know. I don't know what is expected or believed to be.
Let me back up. So some people say never talk to my parents. I hate my parents. Don't talk to them. Okay.
No, I've been going through for years. I've been trying to get people to talk to my mother. Okay. So I don't have any. Again, I don't know how to explain this, because I know it may seem odd in the sense that, like I told you, my mother is paying my rent. Yeah. And so it would seem as if, not just my mother's personality, but pretty much every person's personality would seem as if they were paying for someone, if they were providing for them, that they would want to speak to them, or they would have a conversation with them. That is not what's happening. I don't have any communication with my mother at all. I live every day. When I say, I don't exaggerate the stressfulness of this in the sense of like, because it's my mother and I have more of an ability to kind of gauge, and because I've had this conversation with her, I very much believe that my mother is doing this to try to prove a point of how broken San Francisco is.
Okay.
However, the fact is I don't know that. So every single day, I literally don't know if I could end up homeless in a couple of days just simply by my mother's actions.
By her not paying rent?
No, not just by her paying. Because again, all it takes is my mother. My mother, all she has to do is sign a piece of paper saying that she will no longer be the guarantor on the lease, and I'm out because I've never lived anywhere else. I don't have the credit. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have a 4 o'clock deadline that I need to get to. But I'm not kicking you out just yet. Okay, cool. I just need 30 more seconds.
Sure.
So yes, I would like to speak with your mother. I will talk with your mother. Okay.
Yeah, I just would like to make it clear to you that I don't know what's going on, and so if you are going to speak to me about whatever discussion you have with her, please just understand that it is unnecessary unless you are going to state to me something in which you are requesting evidence or a ability to implement in a counter argument or be able to disprove what was said. In other words, it's something that you have a question about and you would like the answer to versus something you just have a question about and it's irrelevant to the case whether or not you get an answer.
Yeah, so I will tell you exactly why I want to talk to her. One is to let her know that I am your lawyer and there's no question about that. Okay? 2 is that she has sent an email to the judge that is quite lengthy, okay? And you didn't want me to read that email to you, and I respect that decision.
No, I'll go through it. It's just, it's irrelevant.
Let me keep going.
Sorry.
So, it's okay. When we go to court on the 17th, you have a right to address the judge, and he's also going to let her speak. So, I want to talk to her first, so I know what she's going to say.
This is where it becomes illogical in the sense of, sure, I understand what you're saying is that, again, I have attempted to speak to mental health professionals about this. I've attempted to talk to a lot of people about this. This situation has repeated itself in the sense of speaking to my mother has proven, whether it be by yourself, even though you have not done so, but simply by the evidence in front of you and by her own actions doesn't necessarily result in, or there's not a likelihood of it to result in you knowing what she's going to say because it varies all the time. There's no consistency. So I get it. I get what you're sorry. I don't know how to approach it. It's just that wow, I don't know how to put it. Like, I know that we have to work together, but we also have to respect each other's ability or rights to pound your head against the wall if you want to, but it's not fair to have me do it along with you. And so that's kind of just what I mean by with your communications with my mother. Please understand that I literally am dying. I'm not like exaggerating. I'm dying to have a conversation with my mother. I attempt to, however, I have no indication that there is an ability to do that until after speaking to a mental health professional specifically about specific symptoms that she is displaying and how to address and cope with communicating with someone who is exhibiting those symptoms. And since you're not qualified, I'm not qualified, I just really mentally needed to stay in just on what we're qualified, which is just the legal, and then me helping you advocate for me. You get what I'm saying? Because I don't. It just feels really. I hope it goes well. But what you're saying is very it's hard for me to process that my mother can't process. That's simply because the name says elderly. That obviously you would still be qualified to help her, even just by the license number or various ways that my mother herself has taught me to deal with a situation in which she believes fraud existence, as well as, and I'll just leave it at this, my mother's an auditor. All she does all day, literally, and as well as I went in her footsteps, at least in some jobs, I have audited myself. I know what she does. I have worked under her or under people in her position. All she does all day is figure out how to prove fraud has occurred. So it's really much more difficult for you to be telling me like, hey, your mother believes that fraud occurred, wrote a whole long email, and I'm just going to talk to her about it. Because to me, there seems to be multiple indications that the conversation wouldn't be had with her. And that's kind of what I've been struggling with, which I feel like the conversation would be for a mental health professional, but we can't get there. Or at the very least, we can't get there about her symptoms. We're only getting there about mine, which are a desire to discuss hers.
Yeah, I see the kind of like cyclical part of that. So thank you so much for meeting with me.
Yeah, I apologize I thank you for your patience, but it's been years of being gaslit that has resulted in me having to repeat myself in ways that have me questioning my ability to speak clearly and concisely about matters.
Yeah, and like I said, one of the items on my to-do list is to reflect on how you and I can better communicate.
Cool.
So I'm going to work on that.
Cool.
Okay?
Yeah, there's nothing really that you did wrong. It's the case, really. Like I said, it's really, it's not, I don't know where to begin. And there's only one focus about, really about the vexatious litigant thing. And then everything else is just what goes along with it, really.
Okay. Well, I will text you again later today confirming 1 o'clock on Friday, and then I'll see you on Friday.
I appreciate the text.
Yeah.
And then in the text, if you wouldn't mind reminding me of the items that you would like the specific. I know it's
your
basically
to-do list.
All the case numbers. Definitely the 2 cases in San Francisco, or the case in San Francisco, the case in Florida, or the 2 cases. Sorry, the case numbers.
And the
is
names
what
of
I know.
the parties.
Yep. The names of the parties.
Yep.
Do you need Sorry, I'm being ridiculous. I just don't like talking about just privacy. Like for some reason, I ethically, it just feels as if I don't need to provide you the name of my ex or the family court litigant. I know it's really silly because you would see it anyway, but that's why it feels odd for me to have to provide it to you when you would have rights to it anyway.
So sometimes, I don't know how that case resolved, but sometimes those family cases are masked, and I might not be able to find it without the case number. So if you don't want to give me her name...
No, I'll definitely give you the case number.
Yeah.
But that's what I meant. So I don't have to necessarily give you her name.
You don't have to give me her name. If you give me the case number, that will help. But
ethically, that's the way I operate. Okay. Like, do you get that?
I can respect that.
Okay.
It's just that the way that the website works on the court is it asks me for the names of the people. And if I don't have her name, then I can't search. Right? But if you give me the case number, there's another way that I can search. That's
what I thought. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I just for my own... It feels as if I have ran into conflicts or unnecessary conflict in an inability to confirm and understanding that the reason why I wouldn't want to reveal her name is simply just my understanding is my own ethics, but as well as the understanding of the legal process, which would be that by me providing you the case number, I wouldn't have to give you anybody else's name. Like, we're only talking about me. I'm not really trying to... It just seems difficult or... Sorry, I don't know what to put it. It's just like I don't like to cross over people's boundaries, and it feels as if that whenever I mention that to people during this process in San Francisco of saying like, hey, I'm trying to resolve things in a respectful way, it seems that I'm multiple times encouraged to do things that would violate other people's rights. And it seems as if that's why there has been an acceptance for my rights to be violated. That wasn't the intention of what I was saying, but that's basically why I was saying it. Like, it's just basically like I don't like to talk about or involve other people unnecessarily
And I would
That's
never reach out to your ex, never. There's
No, I know
way
you wouldn't, but
yeah.
you understood the process of my brain, and that's all we're concerned about. Because, like, again, if there are any concerns, it's not that I'm not willing to hear them. It's just currently, I believe there are more priorities as to
Sure.
than whatever mental health concerns I may have. Okay. Sorry, Kaitlyn. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Ferris, I apologize for.
I apologize for.
I apologize. Thank you both for being understanding, and I very much appreciate the fact that you even felt as if an apology was ever necessary, because you were very helpful and compassionate in a way that no one else has been throughout any of this. So I appreciate that, and then just that.
I appreciate you saying that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kaitlyn.
Okay.
All right, have a good day, man.
Yeah, I'll
All
work
right.
you out. Yeah. Do you need to use the bathroom before you go?
No, thankfully
Okay.
not.
Okay, Charlie, I'll text you later today. Yeah, take some candy.
The old lady.
Okay, have a good day.
Thanks.